There we go. I'll wait for a sec here. We're coming. Somebody said, "Where's LSM?" Cool 34. I think I knew your brother, Cool 33. Used to be on with us from time to time. My name is meteorologist David Neal. I'm going to wait for just a second here. I don't see us up actually in live television just yet, but we'll be up here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to be talking about, well, you know what we're going to be talking about, this stuff behind me here. There's a tornado watch out. There's a moderate risk that we've been talking about for a while, a moderate risk of strong to severe thunderstorms that we've been looking at, and those have been a continuation. I know we just popped up, so let me get you back again. Let me start over here really quickly again. I'm meteorologist David Neal, along with meteorologist Brett Adair. He'll be joining us here momentarily. He is on the road. He is in the middle of all this stuff at the moment, and we're going to be checking in with his live video here momentarily. Out his vehicle, he is with the infamous, the very famous Heath Semi-Dollar Lawler is with him today, who is driving along there in the eastern side of the Texas Panhandle, and we'll be looking at their weather because this is all just happening really fast and furiously, very quickly here. Over the past 30 minutes, we've seen new thunderstorms beginning to pop up across the region, and now we're beginning to see some of those that are severe. We have severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect. They don't have a tornado warning just yet, but severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect all across that line, which is only going to intensify now. All the modeling that we've seen through the day today was showing pretty much just an intensification. Patricia, thank you so much. It's great to have you here, Patricia, for the night tonight. I hope that we can help you out and answer some questions for you. If we can do so, please let us know, because I'll be checking here very randomly and rapidly in between, giving you some information that I have and answering your questions as well. Right now we're looking at the radar. Let's go right to the radar here and take a look, and you can see what I'm looking at here as well, which is a line of new thunderstorms that have popped up over the past 30 minutes. I'll put this into motion to show you very little that was going on there into the short term. Now from Pampa, Texas, off to the north along 66, excuse me, that's US 66, I believe. Nah, it's 64. My eyes have been horrible there, but that's 66. And now a brand new, our first tornado warning of the moment, just now popping up just seconds ago. Radar indicated tornado baseball-sized hail is possible out of this storm just south of the Panhandle of Oklahoma. That's going to be for Booker, Texas, and Twitchell, Texas, just south of Waka. And it looks like the town of Lord, believe it or not. I'd love to live there. Canadian is off to the south there, but that is a brand new tornado warning just now popping up seconds ago. That's going to go for the next, well, it's probably going to go for, I don't know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. We'll look at that in just a couple of seconds. Till 5:45, actually, is what our time is. And there is the tornado warning currently that's in effect there across the area. Expires in 42 minutes, actually. The National Weather Service office issuing this just moments ago out of Amarillo. That's going to be for Lipscomb, Hutchinson, Hansford, Roberts County, and Ochiltree counties there in the Panhandle of Texas. Goes until 5:45. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located 18 miles to the southeast of Spearman. It's moving northeast at about 60 to 65. And that'll be the thing that you're going to notice through the day today, is that these thunderstorms are going to be moving. Forward motion is going to be very rapid and moving super fast now across the area. And as a result, that's what we're going to be seeing, is forward motion on these storms is going to be really extreme. And again, look at the hail size here. 2 3/4 of an inch size hail being reported out of this storm. Baseball sized hail. And if you just look at our hail product here, this is called the VIL, the vertically integrated liquid. Anywhere you see anything showing up out of this product, well, that's indicative of large hail, and that's where the one is. On County 281, it looks like just to the north and east of Stinnett, the town of Stinnett, south of Perryton and Spearman. That is a large hail-producing storm there, along with the fact that it is rotating. The National Weather Service thinks that we have a tornado warning here just outside of 261, County 261, and Perryton, moving off to the north and to the east at a pretty rapid pace, again, at about 60 to 65 miles per hour. Now, it's all within the line, and it's in the line that has many severe thunderstorm warnings, really from Garden City all the way down to the south to Liberal there, and it's Liberal, Kansas, into the Panhandle, Guymon of Oklahoma, or southward just to the east of I-27. It looks like mainly the initialization is going to be right here along I-40 or 83, State Highway 83 that we're looking at there as well. We have some of the heavier precipitation coming down into that region too. But right now it is a brand new tornado warning. Please be aware of this. This is a large storm, thunderstorm, moving on to the east. Let me tell you a few things about this as I look at it here, by the way, because I can tell a lot about what's happening. One is that the hail shaft is going to be right about there. Large area of in the hail shaft there that we're looking at that is rotating and going upward. The other part of this is that we do see that it is, as it goes upward, it's also producing a couple of eddies on the other side. So the upper level winds are doing this right here, but then they have to go around this hail shaft on both sides. So they create low pressure pockets on both sides, and that's the air coming back in. That's the eddy that you see coming back in on the back side of this. Thus, we call this, oftentimes you've heard me refer to it, here's the flying eagle. Sometimes, and I think I actually named this Bunny Ears, just because I was a fan. And so right now it's Ochiltree, Texas, Robert, Hansford, Lipscomb, Hutchinson, Texas. You're underneath the tornado warning. 2 3/4 size hail popping up there. Some of these other thunderstorms are producing 70-mile-per-hour winds or greater across the area. Something that we've been watching there for a little while as everything continues to ride off northward and eastward down to the south near Pampa. We got a couple of other thunderstorms too that we're looking at there that are severe thunderstorm warned. Headed on to the east. I'm going to take the colors down here just a little bit to a little bit more opacity here because they are actually sort of overriding everything else. But there's what we got. And in about 6 or 7 different cellular storms that we're looking at here at the moment, what you do see is single cell thunderstorms. And this was so indicative. This is what the modeling was producing through the day today, was this sort of a situation where we have at least 8 or 10 cells to begin with. And these are all supercell, single cell, supercell thunderstorms that are popping up. But then we knew that later on into this evening, as we lose some of the heating of the day, the daytime heating, and we get more of a quasi-linear situation that's ongoing through the rest of this evening, that we're likely to have embedded tornadoes within a line. That'll be the case going into the next several hours here as well. But I-40 northward all the way up into the Panhandle, Woodward. Also, you'll be in the path. Give it about 35, 40 minutes, and we'll be looking at some of that heavier stuff there near Woodward. But right now it is a tornado warned storm that continues for Booker, Perryton, all the way over to County Road 23. It's US Highway 83 that goes to the west east there that we're looking at too, and some large hail contained within each one of these cells that we've been watching here as well. Some super large hail that we're looking at. Now our very own Brett Adair is just down to the south. He's on I-40, just to the west of Shamrock, Texas. We've been watching him. His view is going to be for this storm, these storms that you see. Let me change my color here a little bit so you can get a better idea. He's looking here, and he's looking here, and he's looking down to here. I think you can see at least those 3 cells because this is the dude right there. That's B.A. Brett Adair, who is right there into that area. So he's looking out to the west. He's watching what's going on there across the region. He'll be letting us know off and on what he does see. We're going to be looking at his video actually here throughout the next several hours because that's what we do. That's what we're trying to do here, is to keep you visually stimulated, to make sure that you're watching and able to see what's happening as we go through time. So we're looking at all this. You know, I'm looking at our feed in Brett's brokerage deal here. We got a couple of things going on. We got people who are watching severe thunderstorms into the area, but we also got some people over into California, into the Big Bear City area where we have snow that's falling there too. Major storm system that we'll be looking at coming into California. And again, that's going to be a situation during the next 5 to 7 days that will be with us as we see more of what's happening into the long term here, which is a situation where I think we're going to have several chances for strong to severe thunderstorms, if not more of a tornado situation breaking out here toward the end of the week, toward the Thursday, Friday time period, which is, as I was looking at it a couple of days ago, thought might be a southern snowfall. And actually it's still going to be a snowfall, but the track is further to the north, and it looks like it's setting up more of a tornado situation for the southern United States and into the deep southeastern United States. We already have a 30% shot at that coming up into our long form sort of situation there as we do move along. So a lot to talk about here as we go through the next few hours. Our first tornado warning, though, at the moment is still sitting there across northern Texas. That's going to go for the next 36 minutes. Tornado warning for Roberts County, Ochiltree County, Lipscomb County until 5:45 with a severe thunderstorm warning near Spearman, moving northeast at 60 to 65 miles per hour. Pretty big deal there overall. Coming in from the southwest to the north and to the east, the whole line, as it were, is moving fast west to east and making its way into the western side of the state of Oklahoma. Now, coming into Elk City here shortly as well, but approaching Brett Adair from the west. He'll be watching out for that. We'll be looking out his window here. Actually, we are in the upper right-hand side of the screen. We're watching as Brett and Heath ride along there, and we're going to be speaking to him momentarily. In fact, Brett, if you'll give me a thumbs up in my ear and tell me when you're ready. Okay. All right, let's go right to B. Adair, who is standing by. I'll let you, I think I see you there on the radar at the moment. Brett, looks like you're in between like Shamrock near McLean. All right.
Now, so we are getting in position for whatever this storm has to offer. A little bit of a hook echo forming now. These are going very rapidly down around 287 just northwest of Clarendon.
All right, 287. So we're looking at a trajectory that's coming in from your southwest at the moment. You can see a little appendage hanging down there near Goodnight. And as that goes northeastward, is this the storm that you're sort of thinking in your?
Yes.
Are you, okay, you're trying to move. Yeah, you know, you're going to have to keep your west-east trajectory there because, like you said, these things are getting it at 60 miles an hour. And if you get out of the flow there, you can get lost behind these things pretty quick and not be able to catch up. But this is what we thought, isn't it, Brett? Right at dark, having these supercells that would first of all headline this thing before we went quasi.
I mean, I think this is kind of going to be the deal, David. You got a lot of convection fired up. The dry line is mixing to the east pretty rapidly now as we've had really high winds. And actually on the leading edge of this dry line of these storms, you've had a big dust storm with even winds over 60, 70 miles an hour snap power poles. So this is probably going to be the evolution that we see. They're going to be like this. They may get a little more spaced out before they go full-blown linear, but this is a dangerous situation evolving. As these storms go up, we got a lot of lightning evolving in this storm just to our west now. We're going to watch it approach, but really, as things go more linear, I mean, we may even see EF2, EF3 type tornadoes in the linear segments tonight as this continues to push its way out of the panhandle in Oklahoma.
Yeah, Brian, let's talk about this too. And while I still got you here, and you let me know when you need to go, but we're looking at, let's go to the HRR for just a moment here. The, when we're within sight of what's happening, that's kind of what we like to look at when we're within a couple of hours. And we look at that, and it does show everything moving pretty rapidly off to the east. Coming across the border now into Elk City, it looks like somewhere around 8 o'clock tonight. Again, very linear there, but coming into Oklahoma City a little bit later on. You're going to follow this on the interstate, I assume?
Yeah, David, we're trying to keep out of here some pretty gridded roadways, which is great for us because we've got plenty of north-south highways that are going to get us in position for these intercepts. And then we're going to likely have to get on Interstate 40 and run east pretty quickly with time, because once this thing really starts to line out, it's going to have a lot of forcing on the backside, and it's basically going to race across the state of Oklahoma. I mean, this may be in the Oklahoma City area by 8, 9 o'clock tonight, because it's going to move once it gets organized.
Yeah, right now the HRR has it about 10 o'clock coming into that area at about 60 miles an hour. But I got you. I mean, 9 o'clock still in between Elk City and Oklahoma City, but then moving, like you said, jetting on to the north and to the east. Brand new tornado warning, by the way. This one comes in for Kansas. This is going to be just across the border there to central Kansas, and tennis ball size hail being reported just moments ago near Calvesta. I've never said it before, Brett, but a little bit up into Kansas at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's up near Calvesta is the name of that community. Not surprising, guys. There's a lot of cold air aloft from this storm. You're talking, just 10, 15,000 feet off the ground. You're talking extremely cold. That's one of the things and the factors that is allowing this to be such a potent storm system as it moves into the panhandle of Oklahoma. Matter of fact, the mid-level jet axis is one unprecedented nature. It's talking about 120 to 135 knots wind energy. That's what we look for when we look for this deep here for these storms to thrive on.
Yeah, these things are going to be moving, like you said, off to the east, into the northeast. Brett, we're now in a trend, it looks like. You know, we thought we were going to ride into summer across the southeastern United States. We put a little halt onto that. We've had some cooler weather the last few days. Actually thought I was teasing you, taunting you with a possible snow event for the southeast with the 3rd and 4th. Now that looks like that's going to be the forechaser, or the forerunner post severe weather event again. Maybe we got several systems coming in now over the next 7 days.
It looks that way, David. I mean, it seems like it's, every couple of days we've been in this pattern. We had a little bit of a break, especially across the deep south, but it looks like every 3 or 4 days we're going to run into it again. We're in it today. Looks like we've got a bigger potential, maybe outbreak coming for Thursday's time frame as we look at the lower Mississippi Valley region. And the modeling continues to show more systems after that. So it's going to be a long run, I think, as we go through the spring, Dave.
Yep, here we go. Okay, Brett, we appreciate it. We're going to be checking back in with you. You just check back in with us like we did the other day. I don't want to get in your way here because I know you got a lot of other obligations here, but nonetheless, if you hear about something, let us know. Right now, it's a Calvesta tornado warning. Wheeler, Texas, McLean, Texas, you're underneath that tornado. In Groom, Texas, till 6 o'clock tonight. Tornado warning continues there across the area as well. And we'll be talking back, efforting speaking to Brett off and on throughout the rest of this evening. Jericho, Groom, McLean, Kellerville, Wheeler, and Twitty, you're underneath this tornado warning just to the north of I-40 as it heads on at about 60 miles per hour to the northeast. Quarter-size hail being reported there just moments ago. Quarter-size hail being reported with this storm coming across I-40 just to the south of Heaton and Miami, and Mendota, Gageby into the Allison area, and Wheeler is what we're looking at with some of the strong to severe thunderstorms out ahead of this system, also producing some 60 to 70 mile straight line winds that we have been looking at too. But there's that tornado warning off to the north that we've been following, one of the stronger thunderstorms at the moment too that we've been looking at. Very heavy rainfall is also included here as well. That'll be the other situation that we look at as we move into the next little while there also. So we'll be following that too. Down to the south near Liberal, we got the other thunderstorms there that we're looking at too. So we'll be following that as we go into the next little while. There's your tornado warning down to the south right now. We have 3 of them. The second one is down here near Perryton. That's 83, US 83, Highway 70. And that continues off to the north. This is going to be in a thunderstorm that has prompted a warning now into the warned area. They canceled that, actually. That's what they're telling us. Hansford and Hutchinson counties, you are no longer in the tornado warning. They did go ahead and cancel that there for the area, as you can see. But further down to the south, out of the Amarillo office, we still have a tornado warning down. This is going to be just off to the east of I-40 and moving east at about 60 miles per hour. That's base velocity, but let's look at it here, and I can show you where the spin is, just to the north of the wonderful town of Goodnight. And as you can see it right there, that's going to be from 294 down to the south near the town of Groom and moving on eastward. Pretty rapid pace here, but we got some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds all associated with the system there also that we are looking at. And so as we continue to do that, we'll just be monitoring what's happening here as well. Now, I want to tell you what's going on here as we look at this system and watch everything moving on eastward at a pretty rapid pace. We're going to continue with that motion through the night tonight, and there are going to be some strong to severe thunderstorms that will continue as we go through the next several hours too. Let me just show you what I'm talking about here, and we look at some of the satellite imagery through the day today. I can put this into motion for you to show you what I'm talking about. And right there into the panhandle of Texas, we've had all the mess that's been going on there. Some of the heavier precipitation now coming down along the Red River just over the past few hours. As you can see, some of that thunderstorm activity really starting to gather there across northern portions of the state and into that Guymon area there, into the panhandle of Oklahoma, if you will, southwestern Kansas. That's what thunderstorms look like as they are gathering there. You got the sun off to the west, so to the east is where we have most of our little shadowing that's taking place, but a good idea of what it looks like. Again, there's the panhandle of Oklahoma, and to the left-hand side, just under me, high-resolution stuff here showing you as it moves along over a 2-hour period. We're getting images every 5 minutes, so just to show you exactly what it looks like when you have a heavy situation, a heavy precip situation there where the thunderstorm is going to be moving at about 60 miles per hour off to the east. Fairly good pace off and on here, so we're not expecting any changes overall to occur beyond that, other than the fact that all these thunderstorms have the possibility of producing tornadoes. So the rest of this evening, there's a tornado watch that does continue. There'll be several more tornado watches through the next several hours as well. Now, I want to show you some of the brighter colors here indicating where we have the colder cloud tops. It's going to be right there into eastern Oklahoma. Put this into motion for you to show you exactly where those are. The thunderstorms gathering back to the west there. They'll keep moving on eastward. And as a result, the chances are for showers and thunderstorms really starting to increase into places like western Oklahoma and central Oklahoma going through the next several hours. National Weather Service office, this is what they were expecting today. It's a medium tornado potential, but if you get one, by the way, it's a high potential. Up to golf ball size hail, although we've already had baseball size hail being reported out of one of our storms just a little bit earlier. The potential for tornadoes is quite into the medium range, but maybe even the high range here as we move along. And look at these winds. 55 to 60 mile per hour winds are possible into the Oklahoma City, Clinton area. Lawton, 65 to 70 mile per hour winds. These are up near hurricane force winds, if you look at them that way. A few tornadoes are likely into the yellow area where we do have the tornado watch that continues across this region, and that will bring us back into the region where we're going to see more and more in the way of strong to severe thunderstorms continuing to make their way on eastward, going through and into the rest of this evening here. So pretty big deal overall. What is happening here is that everything is progressing along very rapidly now, and will continue to do so going into the next several hours into the latter part of this evening. There's your tornado watch that we still have down to the south, but we do have tornado warnings near Garden City. That's our tornado warning, the Cal Vesta storm up here. The National Weather Service office continues this with 1.5 inch size hail being reported in ping pong ball size hail with that system near Charleston. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located 11 miles to the north, and that'll be a continuation of a storm. I've actually got a ladybug right there on my microphone. Ladybug. I don't think it was it saying anything? Was he talking louder than me? I doubt it. Did you think you heard? I thought I heard like tornado warning. That was it's an Asian ladybug. It's not the regular kind. It's an Asian ladybug. Brand new tornado warning, by the way. New tornado warning continuing for Finney. That's going to be Finney County in Kansas, Gray County, Kansas, until 5:30. Tornado warning up and down the line. We're going to be getting these off and on. You can see there's a decent size polygon there, but you also notice there is a population of 23 right there into that area. Thank goodness these are not very highly populated areas where this is happening there into Kansas. It is fairly widespread there. For those of you that know, though, Dodge City, we've had a tornado warning there that was quite large many years ago. That is something that does happen. Velocity data there. The reflectivity shows you as we go down to the south, there's quite a few clusters of thunderstorms still ongoing there along US 83. That's US 83 right there, just to the south of Perryton, and just to the northwest of Canadian. We've also got an area there that we are following too, at least into the short term. So it's Booker, Texas until 5:45. We got 20 more minutes, 23 more minutes on that storm. Down to the south, a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings that you see into Pampa, all the way over to I-40. Meteorologist Brett Adair is on that one storm right there. You can see him just traveling off. He's going into the town of Back. I hope Brett is careful about not getting out of the way of stuff, because I-40, you can go fast on I-40, 70 mile per hour is there, but I think it's 50 a little further to the north. But you can see these few storms that are headed toward him in this region here. They're coming in from the south and moving northeastward at about 60 to 70 miles an hour. So they're fast-moving storms. All of this, as it goes along, is going to be creating some of the high winds that could reach into the 60 to 70 mile per hour range too. And so certainly want to be following that as we move along into the next few hours. It's going to be one of those situations where these thunderstorms, as they do so, they're going to line up a little bit more as we go through time. Can we do that? Well, how about I just do that right now and show you what the modeling looks like. We go to the HER data and take a look at this. And this is from 5 o'clock. This is what the radar looks like at 5 p.m. But as you move along forward in time, up to 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, coming across the border now into western portions of Oklahoma is what we're projecting, as the whole line gets a little bit more lined up, if you will. North-south goes all the way up here into Grand Island, Nebraska, and then moves on to the eastward as we go through time. Now we're moving at about 60 miles per hour. We got some single cells down to the south here into the state of Texas. This is 8 p.m. tonight. 8 p.m. on the HER model, coming into the Elk City region here at about 8 p.m. Then by 9, we're about 60 miles away from Oklahoma City at 9 o'clock tonight, coming in from the southwest. Wichita Falls will cross the Red River at that point, but these will all be thunderstorms that still have the potential to produce tornadoes. Now, the one thing that you do see here is that they're bowed a little bit. These are just what I said. They're bow echoes that are a little bit more linear, like this. See how they bow out, which is a more substantial reason to think we're talking about straight line winds. But within that, there is the possibility of getting smaller tornadoes that could wrap up into this as well along the line. It's not unheard of to have a large tornado out of this situation. It's less likely than for a single cell supercell thunderstorm to produce a large tornado. When you're sharing the energy along the line, it is a little bit less likely for that to be the case. But it does happen. That's 9 o'clock tonight as we move forward an hour. By 10 over to Oklahoma City, up to Wichita, over to Tulsa and Wichita Falls. We still have some of the thunderstorms as they head on to the east, and we'll still have the potential for those to be strong to severe. Moving on eastward, look how rapidly now along I-40, coming into Fort Smith just after midnight tonight. They'll be moving into the western side of Arkansas, Kansas City, up to Topeka, Kansas, back over to Springfield, and a very small linear area that goes all the way through Dallas as we get into midnight tonight as well. But still, the potential is there for some of those to be quite strong also. 3 tornado warnings as you see them right now. It's Finney, Kansas. You're underneath the tornado warning with 1.5 inch size diameter hail. Also into Ochiltree, Roberts, and Lipscomb counties in Texas. That is a tornado warned area for you there too. Gray, Wheeler, Donnelly, Carson, and Armstrong counties. You're underneath a tornado warning that goes for the next 20 minutes now, 30 minutes, 30 minutes it expires. Tornado warned area, this to the south of Pampa, Texas there that we're looking at and following very, very closely. I think we can take one more quick look before it does get dark. Maybe not. There we go. The satellite image. Brett, I was just showing everybody what the last few minutes of the satellite looks like there as we're beginning to see nightfall, and that's just the whole line, the whole thing that we're looking at there are thunderstorms that look indicative of what you're seeing outside your door, I think.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, David, more so than a tornado threat in the immediate future here, we're again just north of McLean, Texas, seeing some really high velocity datas in the forward flank of this storm in front of us right now. And a lot of lightning also going up. This is the tornado warned storm that's moving out of the Groom area, going to move north of Allen Reed and north of McLean. It is noted now these storms blew up on the dry line, and we're starting to see the cold front push into the back of these. So I'm curious to see how long these things maintain this supercell look as they have, blown up over the last couple of hours. It looks like we might start seeing things line out within the next hour or two a little bit, and that cold front pushes into the back, and then we deal with that extreme wind risk. But again, in the front flank of this supercell right now, if you look at velocity data, you can see we're already seeing some really intense winds that are going to impact us here. If we stay in this position, probably 60, 70 mile per hour winds coming out of this storm here shortly.
Jarvis, go full screen with his camera out in front of his vehicle here at the moment. Go full screen if you can, because what he's talking about is real. You can see it. We want to go to it while you can still see outside at the moment. And kind of what we're seeing here is the overcast sky there, but just off into the distance, you can see how dark it gets. A lot of lightning. Yeah, I heard you whistle. So we got off and on lightning down. Now, where are you looking at, Brett? I'll try to line it up on the radar here too, if I can. Are you looking north or west? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. In between there and the town of Back, it looks like, and you're looking off to the west. I see where the lightning is over there on 291, County 291. There's a lot of hail over there as well. It looks like if you go to the Bill data, picking up that large hail. I think that was reported as baseball size a little earlier. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I got you at like 9 miles away if we look at it on the as the crow flies there, which it would be at this point. But as you can see, very dark cloud base there. You can't hardly see anything. It's rain wrapped at that point. But where the possible tornado would be about 8 miles away from you, where you stand there, Brad, on 291, and into that area there. So yeah, you're in a really good spot to be following this super closely here, and I know you're kind of watching what you're doing there.
Estimating winds 80 to 90 miles per hour, about 14 miles to my west southwest. And again, that's in the core, not in the hook area. So there is likely some baseball type size hail, and it's going to be wind driven inside of that core. So that's something that you really need to pay attention for. If you're on the roadways and you're in front of this storm, again, my suggestion is to get out of the way. Get out of the way of the storm, or either get to a place of shelter. This is going to be the type of storm that would damage vehicles, knock windows out of vehicles, high profile vehicles. This will blow your vehicle off the highway. So you definitely need to be paying attention to that. As you can see, this storm is still gaining strength and a lot of lightning output as it moves in our direction.
Brett, I haven't really looked. Your dew point still hanging there? You're in the 50th.
David, you're not going to believe this. On my current mobile station here, I've got a temperature of 57 degrees with a dew point of about 54.
Huh.
Yep.
You're right.
I'm telling you. Well, and the thing is, guys, typically when we're looking for these type of tornadic storms, we're looking for dew points to be up into the 60s and even the 70s. Out here in the Texas Panhandle, that is not how it works. You can get tornadoes and these extreme type storms with dew points in the 40s and 50s if the upper atmosphere is playing along correctly, and there's very, very cold air in the upper atmosphere, and that's a little bit problematic for these type of situations. So that's the reason the Storm Prediction Center has been so high about this situation being, potentially dangerous and deadly type of situation as it moves into portions of Oklahoma later tonight. So we're going to have to continue to watch this as this evolves.
So the 3 tornadoes we still have there in the Garden City. We got the one up into Kansas. We got 2 more down to the south. We got a severe thunderstorm warning coming just to the east of Guymon there into Oklahoma. Woodward, you're on the road next. You'll be in the path of this storm as it moves on to the east. As Brett was just saying, got that storm just south and west of Brett Adair that we've been following here for a little while and will continue to do so. This is going to be certainly a weather maker. And now there's a new tornado warning for Cimarron, Kansas. It's going to be Cimarron, Kansas there, just off to the southwest. That's a continuation of the old one. That's just to push it a little bit further off to the northeast out of that Montezuma region into Kansas, and just to the south and west of the town of Cimarron. Goes till 5:45. Brett, any other details there? I know there. I see some people are out there, but a lot of people are hanging back in Oklahoma. First of all.
Some are hanging along that I-40 corridor with the expectations, because we do have more storms that are popping off toward the southwest, down between Plainview, almost to Plainview now, as the dry line is going to continue to push toward the east. And then even some more active storms that could do, potential damage with tornadoes and high winds as well. Matter of fact, you probably saw the White Explorer here sitting next to me. That's
right.
Our friend Charles Peak from the Weather Channel is out here today. And we are starting to see new storms now go up to with an updraft base that basically there's so much wind shear in the atmosphere, David. When these storms get going, they're twisting as they rise. It's basically, you see the storm form and it's already twisting at the base off the bat.
Yeah. Go back to his live shot there if you can. Take him full again. We can see some definition to the clouds now beginning to show up very rapidly, racing off from his left to his right, it looks like at the moment. Quite a bit of lightning off into the distance as well that we've been following there with him. And as everything starts to ramp up here, we're moving on to the east, getting ever so close, about 6 miles away from him now at the moment where the core of this is. And Brett's going to give us a good idea. We're going to keep following him. We'll have him live throughout this period. Now, if we don't have him live, we'll have his video live out front of his vehicle to see what's actually happening there across that region. And we can, in fact, see that it's a very tumultuous sort of a situation there at the very beginning, and the possibility of a tornado lags within that area. There is a tornado warning in effect there for the next 26 minutes. 1 3/4 in the size of the hail there. That's Wheeler, southeastern Carson, Donnelly counties, there in Armstrong counties, you're underneath a tornado warning with golf ball size hail. Go back to Brett again.
All right, David, I don't know
Yeah.
if you can hear me. I've actually stepped outside of the car for just a few moments. I'm trying to get a few little shots here as we've got, again, some interesting features. The radar is starting to show more intense rotation developing just to the west. I think we're going to move just north to get in position for this because this thing can turn all the way down. Such incredible wind shear here.
Right.
So that's kind of what we're watching for right now. You're going to see better definition as this gets closer.
Well, I can see how swiftly right now, even the lower cloud base is moving on by. We can see how swift it is moving into the area there. That's going to be a continuation that goes around the core of the low pressure center that's back to the west. And so we can, for the first time, it's not just black, Brett. We can see some of the lower scud flying around this thing on the base of it, which, again, we know we have some upper level winds here into the 70 to 80 mile per hour range, too.
Yeah, we're starting to see a meso, David, in the background there. I can see it with my visible line. It's hard to see on the camera right now. We got a secondary updraft base going to the southwest of us right now, too. So that's going to be something that we're watching. But I'm telling you, that hail core is really wrapping up just to the west. I think it's going to pass just to our north. As we continue to track this tornado warning storm as it moves in our general direction here on Highway 273.
273 in between the town of Back-Denworth and McLean. There is where Brett is. You can see strong indication of rotating winds there toward the radar side, away from the radar side. Little gap in between, but a meso for sure is shaping up across that region. We're right about there on 291. Quite a bit of lightning going on there as well, so it's very active, energetic situation unfolding there just to the west of where Brett is. We've been watching his live imagery there. Some of the scud clouds, as I said, are flying on by. They'll fool you from time to time. But also there is a likely hail shaft there producing some super large hail. Right now, I don't know what the VIL of the moment is, but I've got 80 kilograms per meter squared right now, and it's maxed out on the VIL data, the vertically integrated liquid, which gives us an idea of how dense the object is that's falling through that parcel at the moment. So pretty wicked situation there, Brett, as we can see it. And Brett's beginning to move a little bit. He's going to take and probably get a little bit better view here and stay in an area where he can be just to the southwest side of this whole core. He doesn't want to blow another windshield out, I'm pretty sure, at this point. Now. Just starting, yeah.
Yeah, we're just getting into the severe season, and we've got another major system possibly here in the next couple of days. It's going to impact us going forward. But I will say this storm, the community just to our north is the back community, Denworth. You guys, Westco, you're going to deal with some very large hail at the bare minimum. But I'm telling you, we've got a very stout southeast surface wind feeding right into this circulation at this point. So would not be surprised to see a small tornado at the least form at any time.
Got 5 tornado warnings at the moment, Brett, up and down the line, all the way back into Kansas. An observed tornado, by the way, now into Finney and Hodgman area. That's a nest. That is an observed tornado now that is on the ground just outside of the town of Ravenna, I believe it's called, on County 23. That's an observation now from some folks there for the 7-minute mark. That's a damaging tornado in ping pong ball sized hail moving northeast at about 50. And this tornado, Calvesta, is the town where the tornado has been seen. That's just the information that I have right here, straight from the National Weather Service office. We've got another tornado warning just south of there for Fort and Gray counties out of Dodge City. They've issued until 5:45 for another possible tornado south of the town of Cimarron that's about to cross over US 50 in the next few moments. Brett, I don't know if you can see the radar, but that's pretty wicked sort of a situation there too in the velocity data, but we got a kink there that shows up pretty well. Cimarron, 50, US 50 up into Kansas. But the confirmed tornado is the one that's a little bit further to the north now. That's confirmation near Ravenna, and that's the one that was coming out a little bit early out of Calvesta. So 2 observed tornadoes there, I think, is what we have.
That makes sense. Makes sense, David. Those storms up there, again, they're underneath what this powerful system that we've been looking at in the mid-level. I mean, it's not going to take a ton of instability to get those tornadic storms going. Honestly, that Cimarron storm just northwest of Dodge City, very, very impressive at the moment.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to, and I can't find, let's see, dew point's 45, 46 there. at the moment from the METAR data?
Right, right. So that tells you that even though we have lower dew points down here, we can still see tornadoes in this setup.
Yeah. Don't you love weather, Brett? Just when you think that you and I are really, really smart and we understand it, we got it all figured out by the numbers.
That's right.
And then we got tornadoes at 45, dew point.
We definitely do, Dave. And it's but again, there's a lot more to this than just what's happening at the surface. It's about what's happening off the surface sometimes, and this is one of those situations. You got elevation out here too. I mean, it's you got a couple of 1,000-foot rise once you come out here into some of the plateaus and the panhandle. So it's definitely different out here.
All right, Brett, you're just a couple of miles away from where we think we still have a tornado, but your visibility is going to be super low. Is it not there? You're not going to really be able to see it.
Actually, you might want to pull the camera.
Jarvis?
There's a lot
there
of
you go. There you go.
There we go. There's a lot of definition back there right over this hill. I can't go too far to the west because I don't want to get outran.
Yep.
Seeing some circulation still back there. We may end up having to go a little bit further to the north, but man, this thing looks really, really, really potent right now.
Yeah, you got a good. I think it's wrapped on the back side of this as far as, well. Let me put that into motion again. It's a large circulation, but now, Brad, it kind of looks like it's getting a little tighter. The last couple of little scans that came through there, maybe it's a little bit tighter together. A little bit more pixel to pixel at this point than a broad rotation, and there's a ton of lightning right around it. And we often know that when you get that kind of lightning, and I can sort of see a teal color there, even on screen. I don't know if my eyes are deceiving me, but I think I see where there's probably some hail involved there too.
Hey, do you want to see where there's probably a tornado? Hold on.
I do.
Let's see if I can. Well, man, I wish I could get you a better view. It's just to the west. I mean, literally just to the west. There's a wrapping of this hook. Heath, get on the road right here. There's somebody behind us, isn't there? Hold on. All right, get on the road right here. I just want to show him this feature to the left right here. See it? All right, David, see it now? Give it just 1 second. You should be able to see it. That feature right there. Look at the backside.
Oh yeah.
That's a very suspect area.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so.
Intense lightning too.
I'd love to tell you to go on up there, but you know where you are. I mean, probably gonna lose visibility of it here in a minute. Let's see what we got. Yeah.
The sound of thunder, if you can hear it in my microphone, is not going away. Period. That is not wind. That is all thunder. Yep, it's starting to tighten up. I see it now.
Yeah, I kind of think so too. Just on the radar, there's
Woo! Look at the screen now. I mean, that's just a crazy look.
And it is moving to from his left to his right there. As you see it on the screen there at home, folks, you're watching this as it goes left to right here. He is in the town of Back, Denworth area there, but that's going to be riding along 273, County Road 273 that runs into 273 or 291, actually, near the town of Wesco. But that's where the possible tornado is at the moment. We're watching it with you live as Brett is doing so. Right here is Brett. I'll show you on the radar picture where Brett is. This is him right there. Here is our possible tornado. There is a gap in between here in the velocity data, but the whole thing is rotating, as it were. It is a mesocyclone that is spinning around and doing so at a pretty rapid pace overall. Brett's out of his vehicle at the moment, trying to get some more video as you can see it. But again, if you look at how far he is, he's not that far away from this actual storm. About 3 or 4 miles now, as we see it at the moment.
Yep, let's go to the north. We're gonna go to the north. We got a bit of an RFD surge. And I can see that visibly, and it's crazy how I can see that because you got condensing clouds forming from the surface up in front of this little area of rotation, and you can see them trying to cut out ahead. So we're going to go north. It looks like the circulation is going to pass just to our north. There's a highway, let's see, 273 then bends to the left. I think we're going to go up. It's going to be 1321. We're going to continue north and go up 1321. But this is guys. I'll tell you, if tornado chasing 101, if you want to see a tornado today, if there's going to be one from this storm, we're going to be right underneath it here in the next 10 minutes because it's coming at us in a hurry.
Well, the reflectivity, yeah, more so than velocity actually at the moment. The reflectivity shows a pretty good curl right there. I don't know if you can see what I'm showing on television here, but the reflectivity has a pretty good idea of what's happening here at the moment. And you got a good curl right there just to the west. I mean, due west of you really, where the back edge of it is hail. We got inflow, and we got there's your inflow notch, the RFD on the back side of this. This is classic here at the moment. And again, I think you're in a good position. I think you're south of it enough. And the next move is going to be a little bit further to the northeast toward the town of Denworth. And if I was living in Denworth or knew somebody who did, I'd let them know right now.
Yeah, there's definitely some scuddy cloud motion just to our west. We are almost, oh, wow. Just saw the latest velocity scan, and we've got gate-to-gate signature just to our southwest now. We're going to stop right up here and take another look because these tornadoes can happen so fast in this scenario. They're really, really hard to track.
Yep.
It's just west of you, to the left right there. Yep, stop right here, and that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, we're trying to get a look because I mean these are moving so fast. It's gonna be really, really hard to adjust, if you know what I'm saying.
I do. There we go.
Yeah, I see it.
Super low cloud base. All these not much of a difference.
There's two things I'm looking at. There's actually 2 feet. There's 2 features. We got a barrel-shaped updraft right here, just to the west. I mean, this is incredible. I think we may have a funnel forming too.
I'd be surprised if you didn't.
Yeah, this is probably one of the most incredible storms early season with these type of temperatures that I've seen.
I know you're in a coat out there. It's like you're waiting on a snow squall to come by.
Look, Dave, hold on. Let me try to widen this out. Look at the backside there. Give it just 1 second.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah, I do. It's hard to believe, but I do see it.
All right, here's all of our. So we got 2 areas, David, that are concerning. Let's see. That one up there is the tornadic circulation area, I believe. See all the scud going in there?
Yeah, like behind that one tree in the middle.
Tornado. Yeah, there's 2 possible areas right now that are concerning. So I think we're going to end up flipping, take a left. Yeah, there's a tornado. David, hold on. I'll show you a tornado here. See it?
To your right?
Yeah, no, center frame now.
Yeah, I do see it now.
See it? Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where
tornado. Hold on. Let's see where we're at. If we have a tornado or if we have just some velocities here. Got a lot of low cloud structure, but that's been trying to drop right there.
Yeah. Is that to your southwest? Are you headed back southwest at the moment? Or do you know?
At this point in time. Let's see. Man, it is cold though. Incredibly cold.
So hard to believe.
Yeah.
So, Brett, were we looking at the second circulation that was down there on 291, the one that was a little more toward the south?
Well, you were looking at the northern circulation. And here it is right out the window. Hey, see it? A lot of spin right here, Dave. Okay. Just 1 second, guys. Just 1 second. Back south right here. Let's go back toward the south. Turn back south a little bit.
They just reissued that tornado warning. They just moved it, the polygon, a little bit further to the north in anticipation of what is happening now. But the tornado warning is for Wheeler, Texas, and also Gageby, Texas, until 6:30 now, the tornado warning. I think we got two maybe rotations that are occurring here at the moment. The one that Brett was showing us initially there that was kind of on the ground there. And a secondary one as he panned on a little bit further off to the right that may be a little further to the south. But it's a bit of a mess here at the moment, too, as you can see it. Sort of just now coming together there.
It certainly became real messy there.
Yeah, it did.
Get on that road and go now. Yeah, we're about to go north. That's the road that goes due north. Yeah, yes, that's correct.
And again, we're looking at some of Brett's data there, which is kind of hard to believe. 56 over 53 at the moment, 56 over 53. Normally, we'd be looking at low 60s in order to produce this kind of a situation. And Brett, the thing to the south of the Arrow 291 is tightened up again. A little bit more gate-to-gate shear there at the moment. With the new velocity data they just popped in. Let me see here. I'm not so sure that didn't have a little CC with it a little bit earlier, Brett, too, the one to your south.
Yeah, I'm not either. Honestly, I'm not either. I would not be surprised. Those shots that we had, they look very suspect. Very suspect.
Again, Brad is right here near the town of Back. That's on 273, County Road 273, which comes in from the south here, 273, and then veers off to your left or over to the right is Cullerville. To the east, Belco area there on 1443, State Road 1443. But he's about 50 miles north of I-40 at the moment into that area there. About to move west to east. Mineola, Kansas, also, you're underneath the tornado warning. Mineola, brand new tornado warning there just moments ago. That is a tornado warning storm for Mineola. That's just across the border there as you get into southern Kansas. We'll be looking at that shortly as well. Still following Brett along, and we'll just get you up to date on where we are with our tornado warnings here for the moment, because still Fort Kansas and Hodgman, Kansas, you have a tornado warning there. That's going to last for a little while longer there into the area. That goes with 1.5 inch sized hail into Hodgman, Kansas. Tornado warning till 5:50. Actually, it expires in 7 minutes. It was issued at 5:50. The next one down to the south is also for Wheeler, Gray Donley in Texas. That is a tornado warning storm there. Wheeler, Texas, Gray, and Hemphill counties. That goes for the next 37 minutes. That's a tornado warning down to the south here that we're looking at as well. So the bunched up area of tornadoes that we're looking at coming into Kansas here, just to the north of Dodge City. We'll go to the Dodge City radar and take a look at what's happening here. Several tornado warned storms that are moving on to the east. We'll look at the velocity data to show you along. It's kinks along the line as they move on to the east, and you can see them pretty well. They show up very well. There's one right there, possible tornado right there, and a third possible tornado that shows up there along the kink. These are all south and west of Jetmore 283. It's going to be US 283 where they are just to the north of 50 that we're looking at. 3 possible tornadoes, 3 warnings that are in effect there across the county. Those 3 counties coming in from the south and moving on to the north, down to the south. And there we have another tornado warning, brand new tornado warning here, by the way. It expires in 21 minutes. This is going to be for Meade, Clark counties until 6:15 for Meade and Clark counties. And now if I saw a tornado, or I was looking at this, at least into the short term, I'd say right there's a spin, a rotation, another one down to the south that we're looking at here as well. But a possible tornado warning, no, it is a tornado warning, but a possible tornado is seen there across this area into southwestern Kansas, Meade, Clark counties you're underneath a tornado warning as we look into southern sections of Kansas. Then down to the south again, we got a little bit of a dry spell there until we get into the next batch of storms. We're looking at the Amarillo radar here to show you what it looks like from the west. Kind of clustered up here, but again, very near Brett Adair. Brett is in the town of Back, just to the south and west of Denworth or west of Belco. 273 is what we're looking at, that roadway there, and he's got two spins that we were watching. One of them was very ominous looking off to the north, another one down to the southwest that we were looking at as well. We had velocity data showing us inbound and outbound situations with that. You look at the reflectivity, the same is here. There's a spin, an obvious spin that's ongoing right about there. Another one that shows up right about here. And then if you put our third product on here, which is correlation coefficient, showing us where we might have an anomaly that would show up, that would indicate to us where we had possible debris aloft. And that is a possibility right about there. Now, I know it's all broken up here because we have hail that's contaminating this pretty well. But nonetheless, we have the possibility of seeing a tornado there. The National Weather Service office has gone ahead and called that. And then this kind of clutters up here pretty bad to where it's hard to tell about anything. But Brett's in the middle of it. His middle name is Bennett, and he's in it here at the moment, just off to the east of 291. And we're watching a possible tornado there setting up across the region. He's efforting getting his video back to us, and he'll do so from time to time as he gets into a little bit better area. We'll be watching there over the next several hours to see if that actually materializes. But right now, the two tornado warnings that we have there that are in effect across that area there too. Still moving off to the east. Everything is moving off to the east at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. Let me just see what they're saying here as far as our forward motion goes out of this storm. It says moving off to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour, which means that this storm down to the south here, if we're moving to the east at 50, we'll put this in at 50 miles per hour, calculate that, and move this forward like that, and do that and that and that, and that would give us some of these estimated times of arrival into the Kellerville, Wheeler area at about 43 minutes. Briscoe at about 47 minutes is when this would be expected to move into your neck of the woods and beyond. Not highly populated at all down here into this region, not highly populated. Say that again. Okay. We're good. So currently what we see here up and down the line is the whole thing that's linear coming in from the southwest and moving north and eastward across this region too. And again, I was showing you a few moments ago the satellite imagery. I think I can show it to you one more time probably as it is getting dark very rapidly as well. We're not going to see that for a bunch longer. The last few images right before dark tell the story. I mean, check it out. This is what it looks like right before dark. And you can see again the bright colors. Those are the thunderstorms that have popped up. The dry line is back to the west there over Amarillo and the rest of the area as we look at that. And then all heading eastward into Woodward, Liberal, Kansas region there, just to the west of Elk City. We still have some of that ongoing there that we were watching as well. Dodge City, Kansas, big thunderstorms there. The possible tornado just to the north and east is Cimarron here at the moment. That'll be headed off into that area as we go through the next several hours, pretty much watching all of that if you are still into the area. And it goes all the way up to Hays, by the way, in Hays, Kansas, before we actually see the rest of that sort of dying out there into that region. Long-wave a long-wave satellite image, which just shows you the colder cloud tops. These are the ones that are indicating that's where we have the stronger thunderstorms. The ones that reach up into the atmosphere, they show up as a little bit brighter colors here, which is just telling us that's where the strongest thunderstorms are at the moment. So they roughly run from Lubbock, Texas, all the way up into Pampa and just off to the east into that area there, just to the west of Woodward, into the Meade, Dodge City region, and Hays, Kansas. Some of the strong thunderstorms at the moment that we are looking at, all that's still moving on eastward at a pretty rapid pace at about 60 miles per hour. So coming into the western side of Oklahoma, if you will, as we go into the next little while. Now, a lot of you have asked how fast. When's it going to get to me? Well, I'll just show you the HRRR, which is the modeling data indicating to us where we have movement, how fast all this is moving. If you look at it at the moment, and we do go forward, let's just go back 1 hour here and take a look at the 22Z. And this is the HRRR. Where is it headed? Well, we're headed off to the east here. If we go up to 6 p.m. tonight, that's where everything is and should be moving. At 7 p.m., an hour from now, we'll be right at the border there. It looks like almost over into western sections of Oklahoma near Woodward, into the Elk City region there and beyond. Then we go down to the south a little bit into Altus, Elk City. I-40 area, crossing over Elk City at about 8 o'clock tonight. 9 o'clock tonight will be just to the west of Oklahoma City, but still very, very linear here with embedded supercell thunderstorms that might be rotating and spinning. So that would be a big deal here as we go through time. These are all going to be in local time, by the way. These are Central Time. This is the Central Time zone here. 9 p.m. tonight, Central Time. 9 p.m. tonight. Moving on eastward into Oklahoma City. And now we're projecting right about 10 o'clock coming into the downtown area of Oklahoma City and all the way down to the south into Norman and along the Red River, it looks like, just to the west of Fort Worth. By midnight tonight, we should be in Fort Worth with the southern part of this line, which is not projected to be as severe as the northern part of the line and really thins out pretty rapidly now from west to east. It thins out pretty rapidly into this area and should not be a player any longer after 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. We still have a moderate risk for strong to severe thunderstorms contained within this whole region here. Let me just show you for the day today, the rest of the day today. This is where our moderate risk is and is going to be. Let me do this right here and I'll show you. It is a moderate risk in the red, which goes from Tulsa to Bartlesville back over to Oklahoma City and beyond, where we have the possibility of seeing more tornadoes and 80-mile-per-hour winds is the possibility here as well. It goes all the way down to the south, that moderate risk there, and touches the enhanced risk, which is into the Wichita Falls region, into a marginal risk, Fort Worth, Dallas, Abilene area there. So the heart of the instability, everything else that's with this thing is going to be right here into the middle. This is where the potential is going to be, and we'll just call that plus kinetic energy, where everything may still be the region there of concern that we'd be looking at into the short term as we do move along. Get rid of that. That was not the right move. So there's what that looks like. Moving on to the east as we go through the next several days too, we'll be watching out for all of that. Now, right now we look at the also look at some of the other conditions here. Get rid of that overall, that and that and that and that. Go back to real-time data here. Here's what the radar looks like at the moment, where we still have some of the activity here that shows up pretty well from west to east into our graphics. And we've got the tornado warning now just outside of Wheeler, which is where Brett Adair is at the moment. He's trying to get out of the way here a little bit, but also get a better signal to see what is happening. But this is Wheeler. Just outside of Wheeler. I don't see anything else really around. Mobity is just off to the north. But again, where the large hail is going to be is right in this general region right here, where we have the vertically integrated liquid telling us that's going to be the most dense object around, which is going to be the hail falling there just off to the west of Wheeler and just to the north and west of Shamrock. Brett was in Shamrock a little bit earlier. I think he's probably going to go back there and head on to the east on I-40 as he moves along. Two things: he can get a little bit better service there, and some other thunderstorms down to the south that we're watching here. Some of these thunderstorms are the ones that contain the large hail near Silverton. 207 is what we're looking at. Some of the largest hail at the moment there that we're looking at in some of those areas that we have been talking about. We'll also look at spotter hail, lightning strikes. I don't care about lightning strikes, but maybe that too. We'll do that for the last 3 hours. We'll just be watching some of our data here to let us know about what we have as far as reports go and whether or not there's a 70-mile-per-hour wind that we had a little bit earlier just to the eastern side of Amarillo, Texas into Potter County. That was a 74-mile-per-hour wind, reported there at one of the stations, one of the ASOS stations, automated station is what it is. So 74 miles per hour reported there just a little while ago. Another 70-mile-per-hour wind there near in Hutchinson County from an ASOS station. It was 71 actually there a little bit earlier. Borger, Texas is what we're talking about. And then as they head on to the east, some of these other thunderstorm areas here that we'll be watching very closely too as they go through and into the next 12 hours or so. Before it all heads on to the east and gets its way through Texas, through central sections of Oklahoma, actually, and beyond. So pretty much watching what's happening there across all of that region as we move through and into the next little while. In Wheeler, I understand we had some maybe some damage there. Trying to get some more information about what's happening across the rest of that area. I know some of you have family over there into Oklahoma City, so we're watching out for that region too. We're down to 2 tornado warnings at the moment. Both tornado warnings, one in Kansas, one down here into the eastern side of Texas that would be moving into Oklahoma within the next 30 minutes. And you can see they're all within the cells, the cellular areas that we've been talking about where we still have the likelihood of seeing some of the strongest severe thunderstorms that could be occurring as we go through the next several hours. Very concerning to us because we could and actually may end up with some of the stronger thunderstorms producing possible tornadoes off and on through the time period, and the likelihood or the possibility of seeing some of those rotating into some larger tornadoes. There has been some indication of seeing a few larger tornadoes off and on that could be occurring there as we go through and into the next several hours too. So watching out for all of that as we do move through time. Let me do one quick thing here if we can. My apologies for doing this live and on television, but let me see if I can do a full screen sort of a situation here overall. Flip screen. There we go. And now let me just show you again. This is the radar imagery. This is Brett's data. 58 degrees he's got. 58 over 56. It is warming just a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit beginning to warm up. And again, Brett's down here near Pampa, and he's just to the south of this tornado warning at the moment as it all heads off to the east fairly rapidly at about 60 miles per hour. 58.8, so 59 degrees over 56. And starting to warm just a little bit more as we go through and into the next few hours. So pretty much got this new tornado warning now, or actually it's a combination. It's the tornado warning that we had a little bit earlier for Hodgeman County, still underneath the tornado warning there in Hodgeman and Ford counties into Texas. The National Weather Service office has a tornado warning for Ford County into Texas. I think this is new. Ping pong ball-sized hail being reported there. Southwestern side of Kansas, you can see it right there, not too far away from Spearville and Jetmore. We've been looking into that for a while. Ping pong ball-sized hail being reported there just a little while ago, so the National Weather Service did go ahead and continue that tornado warning, and that's going to be for this one up here. We still have 4 tornado warnings now at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 3 up here to Kansas that we do have, we still have there just to the north of Dodge City. The one down here near Meade that we're looking at as well, with a tornado and $50 size hail being reported there. Severe squall line capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight line winds into that region. Then up to the north here, the other tornado warning that we do still have is in effect for Ness and Hodgeman counties. That's going to be for the next 30 minutes or so, just to the north of Dodge City. Dodge City radar, put that into motion and show you that basically we've got a line that's moving on to the east, doing so at about 60 miles per hour. And it's a pretty big deal overall that we are following here, is that all of these thunderstorms as they come in and out, whether or not they're producing tornadoes or not, they're producing 60 to 70 mile per hour winds at times. And that is reason to go ahead and believe that we have the potential for that to occur, tornadoes to occur, with each and every time these things are updated and they move on to the east. The radar data is pretty much indicative of all that. I can show you up and down the line. There's your one tornado there on 283, just to the north of the town of Jetmore. That's a likely tornado right there that is occurring. Then south of there, you got another one just to the south and west of Dodge City. That's a possible tornado right there that we're looking at as well. And then further down to the south, although there's some rotation right here, by the way, just to the east of the radar, Dodge City DDC. That's the airport there in Dodge City. And then down to the south here, it's a little bit more vague. We're shooting way up into the atmosphere at the moment. So the Mineola tornado warning, even though we still have one for 7 more minutes, $50 size hail being reported there, and the possibility of a tornado, even though it looks like that might be out to lunch a little bit. It is pretty high up into the atmosphere. Then the southernmost portions that we get to here, the other tornado warning that we have is not too far away. And I told you Brett would probably go down to 40, and I think he is in McLean. He's probably getting on 40 here at the moment and headed on eastward. So kind of watching out for that as we move along. Some of the big story here overall is going to be the fact that this is moving super rapidly off to the east. As it does so, going to keep us on our toes here going through the next several hours, and we'll just have to kind of follow what's happening here into the next few hours, specifically because we have the most energy here, I think, at the moment over the next 2 or 3 hours. I think the possibility is probably here for this to continue at least what it is doing here for the moment. I don't think it's going to get worse as we go through the night. I think it's going to get better as we go through the night tonight. It's going to be a little bit more linear. Though as we go through the night tonight, it'll be sharing its energy with a line as we go through the night tonight. And I think most of the energy was there now, right before dark, when we had most of the sunshine out for the day today. So pretty much think that's where we're at the moment. I don't think we're headed for a worse scenario as we go through the night tonight. I think it will get better from here on out. Although it's becoming more and more of a line that'll be moving into Oklahoma City, it's going to be a 10-minute thing coming into Oklahoma City. By the time it gets there, it's going to be very up and down the line, north-south sort of a situation, and actually it will go through Oklahoma City literally in about a 10-minute period and be gone. There's not other thunderstorms that are going to hang around. There's no mess that's going to be there for a while. So coming into Oklahoma City again, right about, I mean, if you look at it here, this is 10 p.m., and at 11, it's 40 miles away. So it's a one-time situation there that comes through. There's maybe a quarter of an inch of rain that comes into this. So I just don't think it's going to be that much of a deal afterwards. Right now, our tornado warnings are probably going to be at their highest. But here's the deal. Here's the part of this that was atypical, if you will, of what does go on, is that the risk was issued partly because of tornadoes, but also because of high winds. And we're already seeing some of these wind reports that are coming in that are way up there. Here's some 60-mile-per-hour winds at Guymon. Anywhere this line has gone through, it's produced at least 60-mile-per-hour winds. The Mesonet station there is Cimarron. That was a 65-mile-per-hour wind. So even if we're not talking about tornadoes, we are looking at the likelihood, and I'd say it's a very strong case at the moment, of getting 70-mile-per-hour winds plus, no matter where you are in and along this line. Now, tornadoes are much worse than 70-mile-per-hour winds, and sometimes you get 70-mile-per-hour winds during a thunderstorm during the day. So you can get away with not having a ton of damage in that sort of a situation, but anything above that, I would be very, very concerned about. But this is the area here that we're really looking at, the possibility of seeing those 70-mile-per-hour winds. And I'd say it's kind of likely at this point to get those kind of winds. I don't think it's the anomaly. I think it's going to be the likelihood of seeing those kind of winds. Tornado warning now for Shamrock, Texas. That's brand new. Tornado warning for Shamrock, which is just to the county across the border back over into Texas. But as you move into the western side of Oklahoma, that would be included there as well. Shamrock, you're underneath a tornado warning now that runs from the National Weather Service, and that's going to go until 7 o'clock tonight. Twitty, Wheeler, Shamrock, Kellerville, McLean, you're underneath a tornado warning along US 83 or back to the west along I-40. And Brett is again underneath that tornado warning at the moment, and we'll be trying to speak with him in just a few moments. We don't have his video at the moment. He doesn't have video, and it might be because he's just in the middle of all that crap for the moment, but he'll be out of it very soon, and we'll effort speaking to him here very shortly as well. Right now, we'll look at the radar and show you what we're talking about. There's the big storm. Brett is right down here in McLean. He's kind of in this little notch there on 273 at the moment. And again, maybe the reason that we don't have audio from him, but he's right there in that area where there could possibly be a tornado. I don't see, yeah, I mean, he's like right in that crap. He's if there's going to be a tornado there, it looks like it's going to be right near the town of McLean, and Brett is just south of there, but there's definitely some rotation, some spin going on right there near McLean, moving on to the east, and pretty much doing so at a fairly rapid clip there along that area too. So kind of watching out for him as we move into the next little while, and I'll move off to the east too, and we'll effort speaking to him here very shortly. I think we're going to have him here in just a few moments, and we'll be hearing a little bit more about what's going on there into the area. All this goes down to the south, Cimarron, Clarendon. We still have strong winds that are associated with this thing. Right here near Clarendon, there's some 50, 60-mile-per-hour winds that are along the line as it heads on east. There's a little kink going on the line that we'll have to watch just to the north of Antelope Falls. And west of South Bryce, we'd be looking at that little kink there to see if maybe that's going to be something else, if that's some kind of rotation spin that's trying to occur. But back up here to Wheeler, we have more of the same along 83, US 83 and beyond. Some of those other thunderstorms there of note are also dropping the large hail that we've been talking about for a while. Back into a severe thunderstorm warning and 2 tornado warnings into Kansas, 283. That's our 1 tornado warning there, by the way. That is still in effect, 283. For southwestern portions of Ford County, Hodgman counties, you're underneath the tornado warning. And a little bit further to the north for another minute, we have a tornado warning in effect for Hodgman and Ness counties, but that may be allowed to expire. We'll watch the radar there out of that for just a few moments. I don't see the same sort of echo that we had there a little bit earlier. Looks very linear at this point, which is our good news. This thing down here near Mineola has been trying to spin again, so we'll keep our eyes on that. But right now, maybe the 2 tornado ones off to the north are allowed to expire, and we'll just keep the 2 down to the south here that we have. The 2 coming in just around Shamrock at the moment, and those go all the way down to the south. 70-mile-per-hour wind again reported there at the Weather Service at 74 miles per hour. And still we have some other thunderstorms here. Let's take a look beyond. There's a little bit of spin going on near Clarendon, the Howard Wick area there too. Then off to the north, we got a little bit more mess here as well. We're following Brett there near the town of McLean, 273, Highway 273 and beyond, or north route over to Wheeler into the Shamrock region. Still some of those thunderstorms there that we're looking at as well. So we'll be following all that as we move along through the rest of the region there too. And still looks like let's see, what have we got here? Yeah, Brett doesn't have video at the moment. We're still efforting getting to him in just a few moments. If he does, we'll have it here because this is his outlet. So now he's back up. Try him one more time. And he's right there along that spin, where the spin is occurring on I-40. That is our tornado warning there on I-40, headed on to the east, just outside of Wheeler and Shamrock, and that'll continue to move over into the western side of Oklahoma over the next little while, probably about 15-20 minutes getting into the western side of Oklahoma. The rest of the stuff off to the north there. They did go ahead and drop those tornado warnings as we were talking about. We really didn't see the kind of spin rotation that we had a little bit earlier. So right now it's really left up to this, the one tornado possibility that we have here on I-40. Been kind of looking at that over the last few minutes, still following that pretty closely. And it does look like that's going to be hanging around for a little while longer here as well. Let me see if we can find Brett. Having trouble getting his video up? In and out? Yeah. Yeah. It's raining hard where he is at the moment. I know that. So really, we only have the 2 tornado warnings there at the moment. These are going to be really for the same storm, more or less along I-40. The golf ball size hail being reported there. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado near McLean. We knew that. That's headed on to the east toward the town of Shamrock. If you're over in that direction, that's something you'd be looking at. Also, that's just a wicked looking storm there overall. There's going to be some large hail involved with this. As you see it right now, the hail is large just south of Brett. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe he got underneath the hail core there, because that's some pretty nasty stuff right there. I bet he did. I bet he got into this hail right about, because he came in from the south and just sort of clipped him. I don't know that he had a choice. It's actually going to get worse here the next few minutes. This is Brett Adair at the moment. This is he right here, and then this is a big old area of hail. This is a hail core that came in from the southwest. It's just 1 3/4 inches is probably not doing it justice at the moment. That's what he says, 1 3/4 size hail falling there. But that's going to be pretty bad there coming in on the south side of I-40. I hope the interstate has stopped at the moment, because this is not a good thing as it crosses over the roadway there. And the possibility of a tornado embedded within that, too, is also the likelihood or the possibility, because that is a single-cell, supercell thunderstorm headed on to the east. The rest of these down to the south are kind of the same, very singular, but along the line. And pretty energetic coming into the Turkey area there, Texas, Highway 70. Then 287, US 287 into Clarendon. And Howard Wick, back to the tornado warning there, or just north of Wheeler. We have a couple of other thunderstorms there that we're looking at as well. Those are not necessarily moving across the rest of the region, though, that are going to help us out at all. That's just pretty much everything that's going to be moving rapidly off to the east. And again, there were questions of whether or not it's going to get worse. It is not going to get worse. it is going to pretty much hold what it has. We'll have the occasional tornado warnings that'll be popping up from time to time. We'll have hail that'll be involved with all of these, and we do have high winds already being reported in the 70-mile-per-hour range. There's one in Hutchinson County near the town of Borger, where we had a 71-mile-per-hour wind gust there. Down to the south and west, we have some more that are still ongoing there with 70-mile-per-hour winds coming into Amarillo. And then further to the north, we had some 60-mile-per-hour winds. It's going to be 65 there at the Sherman Mesonet. In Sherman, Texas, Guyman had 60. We had 70 miles per hour, 78, almost an 80-mile-per-hour wind there at the Mesonet in Hain, Kansas, just outside of Hain, Kansas, 78 miles per hour. I think that's the highest one I've seen so far. As far as that goes, let's see, some fairly large hail being reported from time to time, 1.5 inches. And the Dodge City radar again is confirming that we have a couple of thunderstorms here, not what they were an hour ago. They have weakened considerably. We don't, at least at this point, we don't see the inbound and the outbound that we had that was producing the possible tornadoes. The tornado warnings that were popping up, we don't see those anymore. Somewhat linear here up and down the line until you get all the way down to the one tornado warning that we have just outside of Pampa, Texas, now I-40. And again, Brett Adair, we've been watching him, talking to him, speaking to him off and on over the past couple of hours. We talked to him while we had what we thought might have been a tornado on the ground, but not necessarily the case there. We had a couple of spins, rotations that were showing up into everything, but really wasn't that big of a deal there to start out. Down the line here over to Memphis and beyond into Childress, Texas. Still got some thunderstorms there that we're looking at and following, and we'll do so for the next little while as well. High-res reflectivity showing you more of the same. The activity is still hanging tough there across that region, and that's why there are still tornado watches that are in effect here. The radar out of Amarillo, Texas, showing you more of the same. The whole line moving on to the east. Memphis, Tennessee, beyond, down to the south over to Childress, and then back into that area just to the south and west of Paducah. We got more thunderstorms there, still hanging tough, and moving on eastward there into the Elk City region there too. Woodward, Kansas, Oklahoma, Woodward, Oklahoma, about to pick up some of the thunderstorms there too as they head eastward. The Dodge City area there too. We don't have a whole lot going on, but right now the tornado warnings that we're looking at, we still have the two. They last a little while longer. That's going to be Gray, Hemphill, and Wheeler counties. A tornado warning expires in 8 minutes. Still have 38 minutes on the Collingsworth, Gray, Wheeler, Donley County tornado warning. That's the one that's further down to the south, the one where Brett is. And again, I'm not sure if we're really picking up Brett's true information here, his GPS information, because I think Brett was in the middle of that hail core there a few moments ago, and it was large enough to where, as he was talking about, that could cause damage and do so pretty rapidly. Now, speaking of rapidly, we've got a linear situation that's really starting to take shape pretty quickly now. The line is beginning to show up. It is less of a single cell, sort of a single cell outbreak of sorts of tornadoes. Now we've got a linear situation. We're sharing the energy along the line. There's still a lot of shear into the atmosphere. Now, the shear without the heating of the day is probably not going to be, I don't know if that's going to offset the fact that we don't have dew points very high here at all. The dew points have been really low. Let's just kind of look at where we are with some of our current conditions. We'll look at the MEDAR data there out of the region and see where our dew points are, because they're still considerably low. We're at least into the 60s now. Now behind this, look at our dew points. We're into the 20s now. Back in Plainview, it's 25 at Hereford. It's 58 at Pampa, but falling pretty rapidly now. All these dew points. So the dry line, dew point line, is hanging tough right there close by. And all these dew points are falling now. They're rapidly rising out ahead of this. We got 60 now into Elk City. A dew point of 60. What do we got? 62 over 60 degrees now, with winds at 24, gusting to 30 miles per hour. Just south of there, we got some 75 mile per hour winds. 75 degrees and 61. It's 69 over 60 right now at LTS. That's going to be just outside of Alta. and west of Lawton, along 42, 62 as well. Still looking at some of the heavier thunderstorms there that we've been watching through the day today as they come in from the west near Memphis now. But it's all lined up instead of single. And just look at these little waves moving along this thing. It's close near Lakeview. And then further back to the west here. So a lot to monitor. And it was wild there for a minute. Brett was right there, and he was probably underneath the only rotation that was actually visible. We did have what we think might have been a tornado that was visible just north of Garden City a little bit earlier. I don't see that report here just yet, but that was the last thing that we did here, is that we had a likely tornado there. They went severe thunderstorm warning now off to the east. 70-mile-per-hour winds are possible here in Ness, Hodgman, Trego, Pawnee, Rush, and Ellis counties. You're underneath a severe thunderstorm warning out of this situation. Down to the south, it's Dodge City. Half-dollar-size hail is possible near Hanston, moving over to the west of Ashland and moving east at about 45 miles an hour. Not a whole lot going on there. Then back to the west, we still have the 2 tornado warnings that are ongoing here. I don't see an upswing in anything that's occurring, though, at the moment. It just is what it is. Brett's moving. He's off to the east now, so he has been moving a little bit. I think his video's back up, at least into the short term. I do. Hold on a second. Where's that audio? Couldn't find his audio, but if you want to take his video that way, you can. We can't get it any other way. You'd have to do it over here in this monitor. I can't do it on mine. Now you can go full screen with it. Look, look, look. You can take it full screen, just hitting it. But we've got to. It's his audio that's hot. Wait a minute. Yeah, here. Let me do this. I'm afraid his audio is hot. The last couple of times I've heard about it, his audio ends up being really hot right there. Yes. Yeah. Comes and goes. Well, I think you sort of are. La. So again, you're riding along with Brett. We're actually back into his vehicle again. He's been having a little bit of trouble from time to time, but uh, I think he's back online there. What are we looking at? Eric Toll. He's in Rollo. Did just get our first tornado warning, by the way, into Oklahoma now. They went ahead and pushed the tornado back over into Crawford. That's going to be Crawford, Roll, and Raiden. Again, along 283, just to the west of Strong City. That is a brand new tornado warning that we have in effect there at the moment. The one coming out of Texas that Brett was in moments ago, they've just reissued. It's pushed a little bit further to the east now and is across that western side of Oklahoma. That is a tornado warning storm that we're looking at. About 1,000 people who are included into that tornado warning. Headed on to the east, goes until 7:15. So we got about an hour, 45 minutes on this tornado warning, actually. 715 there, 283 just to the south of Arnett, and 60 that we're looking at. The likelihood of a tornado showing up there across the region that we're still following, and that's going to be right here. A continuation, if you will, of the storm down to the south. It's coming on eastward and moving into the western side of the county. Now, this is a sort of a precursor for what's about to happen. This is the storm back to the southwest. Brett said he's being rocked by some of the high winds there that are coming in with the actual system, and we know we've got a dust storm ongoing there as well at the moment. I've been kind of looking at that over the past little while and watching a couple of chasers that are out there. One of them in Rolla, Texas at the moment, who's got a stunning sunset there that's showing up just a few moments ago. And still down to the south, we've got a couple of more areas that we'll be looking at, concerned about here at the moment as we follow through time. It's some of the bigger thunderstorms that we're looking at. Some of these are going to be pretty much in the way of just high wind makers as we see them, and then beyond, we may have the possibility of a tornado or two that'll still be popping up from time to time here as well. So some of the information that we're looking at, again, I don't see anything that really looks like we're ripping it up anymore. Not like we were a little bit earlier. We got a couple of warnings all the way up here in Nebraska at the moment along 136. This is a severe thunderstorm warning coming in with the system from down to the south. That's going to be a severe thunderstorm warning out of Jewell and Nuckolls County, southeastern Webster County. Severe thunderstorm warning coming on to the north. Now we got dew points here into the 40s, by the way, low 40s. So it's somewhat unprecedented to have that sort of a situation. 60-mile-per-hour winds, penny-sized hail near Kingsdown. That's moving to the east at about 70 miles per hour. You can add the forward motion into some of these as well as we go through time. And taking a look at the hole here as we do move along. Now we got a thunderstorm or two. Wow, did you see that? That's over. Well, maybe you shouldn't mess with that. Down to the south here, we got a few more. Brett is just coming across the border in Shamrock. He's following this for the next 25 minutes. That's our tornado warning there for Wheeler, Gray, Collingsworth, and Donnelly counties. A severe thunderstorm warning, now tornado warning, in effect across this area as all that heads on to the east at a decent pace here overall. Been watching that as we've gone through the last little while into the north. A few more thunderstorms that we're looking at as well. Those are all headed on eastward too as we move along through the rest of the region. Down to the south and west into Altus, we got a thunderstorm that's about to come into there that's going to rock your world there for a little bit. And, again, somebody said earlier that this is going to ramp up. That's not true. It is not going to ramp up. We've either got the same or we're going to have less, I think, going on. We're working into an area here where we just don't have dew points. Are still not what we were thinking a little bit earlier, so probably not going to be the case there, where the conditions are going to be favorable for a ramping up of things. Nonetheless, what you do have to get through is some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds are going to be very likely coming through the area, and as a result, there may possibly be some damage anywhere here and to the east. This is going to be from the frontal boundary off to the east over to Oklahoma City. The dew points behind this are falling off so rapidly now. We're beginning to see these dew points go well down into the 40s very quickly behind the system, even into the 30s from time to time. And pretty much what we'll be looking at there is as we do move along and head into the next little while. Some of those, I'm watching a thunderstorm right now on camera, which is pretty awesome with the sunset off behind it. Looks like the sky is burning. But here are the dew points into the 70s. As you can see what we're talking about here, 60, 57, 60 degrees dew points. You normally get into the low 60s, you get really concerned. There are 60s here now beginning to show up. But down into Dallas-Fort Worth, I don't think we have the same kind of an atmosphere there, at least one that would cause us to have more in the way of precipitation and thunderstorms. And by the way, the lightning data that we were seeing a little bit earlier, drying up. I don't see as much lightning as we had a little bit earlier in any of the thunderstorms up and down the line. So maybe we worked through the most extensive part of our energy, and we're now down to just seeing more or less a little bit of thunderstorm action still ongoing here, at least for the, let me get rid of that recorded wind, spotter that damage, and do this. Marilla radar. A continuation of the tornado warning down in McLean. Over to Shamrock. That's the tornado warning storm here down to the south. Although I just don't see anything that looks very much like a tornado. We got inbound and outbound. We got the possibility of some rotation right about there, but not much. And I mean, this thing really looks like it's drying up pretty rapidly. Cheyenne, Oklahoma, you're down underneath a tornado warning in Cheyenne, Oklahoma. That's this thing down to the south that we were looking at. Sweetwater, Herring over to Strong City. That's the tornado warning. Goes until 7:30 now for Cheyenne. Ping pong ball sized hail being reported here also. That's like the 5th time I've been able to say ping pong ball sized hail. I don't normally say it that well, so doing very well here on some of that at the moment. Cheyenne, tornado warning showing up there till 7:30. That's going to be Cheyenne, Oklahoma. You have a tornado warning there that is also still up, and that's going to be just a little bit further south of the one that we currently have, and I think it's because of this. Now, this looks a little bit more ominous right there. The possibility of a tornado right in that area there, it looks like. Let me see if we got anything else that might look weird. That's the correlation coefficient, which is dirty. Some indications there. That looks a little strange to me at the moment. But back over to Keaton, Rendon, and Raiden. Excuse me, Raiden. Down to the south there. Still looks like a continuation. We have 3 tornado warnings that are in effect across the area and still working their way on eastward as we go up and down the line, and we'll follow that for you going into the next little while from the west and to the east. Then down to the south here across the Red River, we still have some of these thunderstorms. Look at these dew points, though. We're still sitting into the 60s, the low 60s here. 63 across the Red River, getting further down to the south. It's weird, though. You don't really see the advection because you're not seeing high or low 60s or mid 60s down to the south. We're just seeing, like 60, 62. So advecting anything any warmer is not thermodynamically possible. So kind of what you see here is the story of how this all works out. Then down to the south here, the other thunderstorms of note, Dodge City, Kansas. We'll look at that. A little bit of activity here. All that kind of broken there across that area. But coming into Oklahoma City just a little bit later on as it all slides in from the west and then moves on eastward. Pretty much what you're going to see is what you get here going through the next several hours, most of which are going to be the continuation of strong to severe thunderstorms. And we'll just kind of watch out for those as we go through the next little while. Some of these are going to be strong to severe. We'll keep that into mind and keep watching what's happening as we move through and into the next few hours. Some of these other thunderstorms that we're looking at may be a continuation as well as we go into the latter part of this evening. So we've got to be watching out for that situation as all goes through time. We'll just have to keep watching it all here, folks. Got a lot still going on. Brett still having a little bit of trouble here keeping his image, but it is getting dark, which is terrible because as it gets darker, we're not going to be able to see some of the imagery that we would like to. So, let me see. Give me 1 sec here. Still riding along with Brett there in his vehicle. He's moving eastward on I-40, headed into Oklahoma now on the western side of Oklahoma. Still following that whole situation there as he goes into the last little while. These are going to be the thunderstorms that we'll be watching. And as you can see, coming into Oklahoma, we still have some dew points there that would be worthy of producing, these high winds that will be coming in. I think we're going to have more severe thunderstorm warnings probably than tornado warnings as we go through time, but nonetheless, any one of those could still be problematic and cause problems. Right now, the reflectivity is still showing us pretty much the same thing. It's a little bit dirty here and there. I don't see anything that looks like it's going to be of concern. Down to the south of Brett, you got a little bit going on there south and west of Shamrock that we'll look at coming northeastward. Those are possible. This thing around Memphis here at the moment looks a little weird. A little odd, if you will. Inbound and outbound there on 256, just to the east of 1547, it looks like in southwest of Wellington. Or up Shamrock here, you can see some inbound and outbound there too, coming in on the south side, on the Dozier side, and working on eastward. There's your inbound and your outbound associated with the whole thing right there in your Kelton. And there we go, moving on to the east like that. That'll be coming across the border into Meridian here very, very shortly from the western side. And then go off into the east. Right now, we really just have a straight line situation that's set up here. A couple of embedded tornado warnings. I don't hear, I've yet to hear of anything that is on the ground at the moment. These are all radar indicated tornado warnings. I don't have an observation with anything. We got close a while ago, I think, when we had Brett. When Brett was on with us, we got pretty close to having an observation, but really a lot of that had 7 o'clock. That's just a continuation of our tornado warning till 7 o'clock. Let's see. I think we're going to be talking to Brett here in just a couple of seconds. And he is down here in the Shamrock area there along I-40-83. State Highway 83 that goes north-south, the I-40 area that goes west to the east over to Fuller, then across the border into western Oklahoma near the town of Eric. So we'll try to effort speaking to him. I can see his video on the top right-hand side, but cannot see him. He may not have a good enough signal. See what we can do. I'd like to know what happened. He was in that stuff there for a minute, and looked like there was going to be some really large hail all the way around him. I don't know how he escaped that, but it should be a pretty good story that I'd love to hear. Eric to Cheyenne and beyond. Then off to the north, it's the 60 area there too. Coming into the western side of Oklahoma, and I still think we're looking at 10 o'clock tonight before that actually comes into the western side of Oklahoma City. Everything that we looked at a little bit earlier when we were looking at the models suggested that was going to be the case. Let me see if there's an update on that at all. And we'll go forward here. And 10 o'clock, Oklahoma City. Just back to the west. Elk City right here at about 8 o'clock. An hour and 15 minutes or so. So we got a pretty good motion here, pretty good movement off to the east at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. It looks like a west to east movement that's going to get everything there into Oklahoma City sometime after that time. As far as the herd goes, but also as we look at the herd, everything is linear at that point. We don't have anything out there that's not linear. Beyond that, so it all looks like it's going to end up being more or less just a straight line wind event with, still 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, maybe even some that could be higher from time to time. That could be the case. That could be the deal as we go through, with each and every time. But I got to show you here. Look at these dew point conditions, how they really fell. Where are the teens and dew points? Back over to Clovis here. Were you sitting on the button? I got you now. I ain't worried about it. Look how these temperatures are, these dew points are in the 20s now back to the west.
Outdone because this thing is trucking to the east.
Yeah, I see.
We're about to stop here at the Love's gas station here in Eric, Oklahoma, because if we don't stop now, we may not be able to get gas. There's a pretty good, if you look at Frederick radar, there's a pretty good tornadic signature just to our northwest, headed for Sweetwater, Oklahoma, too, where that tornado warning's in effect.
Let's see, the Cheyenne one, oh yeah, yes.
Yeah, the one that's coming north of Shamrock. We had some hail on the interstate, which was problematic in itself. But
we kind of talked about that. Sort of thought that might be the case.
Yep.
You were in that big deal there for a minute.
That's kind of where we're at right now.
There's there's a little bit of mist down there near east of Memphis. I don't know if you saw that near New Loco, Wellington. Tries to kink up down to the south there a little bit more, maybe even like you said, south of Shamrock. But other than that, I tend to agree with you that it's all very linear again at this point, and straight, probably a big straight line deal. There's a lot of 70. So 78 mile per hour gust. I saw, some pretty high gusts, though. So I think that's inevitable for about everybody if you're along this line.
I agree. If you notice those dew points that shot way up into we got to the 60s when it was in the 40s. The temperatures were in the 40s
Yeah.
down around Altus by late afternoon. I mean, it's just incredible. They actually hit the 70s, and Vernon, Texas, down there 73 over 61 now. I mean, it was nutty that that's how quickly the air mass can change.
Yeah, so fast down there altogether. Now I think it's modified a bit. I don't think it likes the air in central Kansas anymore. All that kind of dried up pretty quickly. Um, they did just issue that tornado warning for Wellington. They reissued that actually. Sweetwater area, Cheyenne,
Just saw that.
till 7:30.
Just saw that. Yeah, yeah.
I'm going east. Okay.
You better book it east. It's coming behind us. That's what's coming. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of wind damage. I think they've been wind gusts 70, 80 miles an hour. So.
All these
I'm listening
conversations.
to Mileage and Anderson, Alabama.
Right. Oh, that's where we're from, Birmingham.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Actually, Pell City.
Oh, okay. He lives in Pell City. Yeah.
Rick Cook. I'm from Pell City. I was there when the tornadoes came through. Got the school out. Yeah.
We
I love these conversations.
have it. You guys too. Thank you. Yeah, we always get people coming up to us, and it's good that they asked because this guy's going east, and if he's going to go east, he better get moving because
Yeah.
this powerful line's gonna be coming through eat a beef stick. So you guys are gonna get to watch me eat on camera. I really don't care today.
Well, the beef stick is worthwhile. What's that going on west of 83, north of Wellington? You see that? Let's see.
Yeah, David, I do. That's actually where I have greater concern because we have better buoyancy down there to the south of us. We were just talking about maybe breaking down 283 up at Sayre, Oklahoma, and getting in position for some of that because it looks like it has the best air mass that it's going to be dealing with here soon. So we want to get out there. We ran through a dust storm. I don't know if you could see that on stream or not, but we started getting a crosswind. So we've been dealing with a dust storm as we were coming through. So this line is cranking the dust up. Let's see. Trying to see. Trying to get some reports in right now, David.
Yeah, I don't. And I've been reading through those. I've been reading through all the 60, 70. It was 78 mile per hour wind. I saw that kind of stuff. I don't know how much damage that's actually doing. Though I haven't heard anything about damage. I just know the ASOS stations are reporting those. But whether or not they're causing any damage, I don't really know. I know sometimes you can have a 70 mile per hour wind out of a thunderstorm in the afternoon, but if it's knocking stuff down, I don't know it.
Here in this area too, that's kind of what we've been looking at, David. Is it's sparsely populated. It's not very dense in terms of population here, so we're not going to see a whole lot in the way of reports. I don't think. I can tell you what I think we are going to see though, and the threats increasing for this. We got a ton of wind shear, and this line is moving at I would imagine it's got to be moving at a 60 mile per hour plus rate now. We're about to see our QLCS, our quasi-linear convective system tornado threat ramp up quite a bit. I see a lot of kinks and appendages within this line that are showing areas of rotation now.
Yeah, all the way down to the south, and I've kind of been watching those for about 30 minutes or so, and they weren't worthy of tornado warnings. Now we've got a couple of them now that they've just popped up a few moments ago. Along that, the Wellington storm now has a tornado warning with it, but you can go on down that line as you see, and there are several more kinks that are pretty nerve-wracking there. That probably somebody's like, "Do we hit the button on that?" And I don't really see, what is that? Hold on. That might be a CC drop west of Wellington on 83, the last two scans. Hmm.
All right, we were communicating with that gentleman. He came back to the car. We tell him to get out of here at a more rapid pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the area a little west of Wellington there. I see another area there along Highway 256. It's about to cross 83 south of Wellington. Pretty good little hook echo showing up there in a reflectivity pattern. That will be crossing into Oklahoma here really, really soon as this continues to push to the east at a very rapid clip. We're about to have to push to the east at a very rapid clip
Yeah.
too, just due to the fact that if we don't, we're going to get overran. We're trying to fill up though with fuel so that we can run for a long way before we have to stop.
Yeah. Well, all right. Yeah, again, up into Kansas, it looks like we're down to just a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings at the moment. Even up into Nebraska, we got a severe thunderstorm warning up there. We got a couple down here, down to the south, too. Severe thunderstorm warnings from Woodward. Now in the northwestern corner, 70-mile-per-hour winds into Ellis and Woods counties. This is all moving east at Slap Out. It's moving northeast at 85 miles an hour, Brett. The motion on that cell. I said 85.
Yeah, that thing's moving really, really rapidly.
Northeast at 85.
What we're looking at right now, I can believe every bit of that because we had to drive through golf ball size hail, pounding the truck on I-40 to yeah, we're gonna go east here, Heath. We're gonna go eastbound on 40, and then we're gonna possibly make a turn. You can go ahead and get buckled up before we hit the highway. We got that signature to the south, David. That's a pretty serious looking signature at this point.
Several of them are, yeah. In and out. I mean, it one scan, it looks really bad. The next, it's not exactly what I thought it was, but nonetheless, it's got to be tough making or not making these calls. Look at that one. Yeah.
Tons of wind shear.
Yeah, look at that thing around Loco there that's on the south side of that. I don't know what it's going to be, but it wants to turn. And the thing near Wellington does too. Then you got something. This is junky.
Yes, it is. It is. I mean, there's a lot of high-profile vehicles that we've seen on the interstate.
Yeah.
Cut this light down a little bit for our sake. I'm gonna take some light off my face for the moment. I think I've still got enough so you can see me though. We got a crosswind, a terrible crosswind right now, blasting the car, and we're trying to stay away from all these high-profile semi vehicles due to that because those are likely going to end up in the graveyard if they don't watch out in terms of the truck graveyard. Winds of 60, 70 can blow these things over. And, if we've got winds, you've got a storm motion of 85 and you've got forward momentum of the actual wind, you've got a potential problem there.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that people are even efforting trying to do that at this point, especially right there into that area. But it is, it kind of is what it is. I know people have to travel, at least, and if you get behind especially. But up and down the line there, the dew points are, they surged up there. We got 63 degrees, a dew point of 63 over in Lawton, just off to your south and east. We got, upper 50s here and there. Even Elk City's up to 61 now with a dew point.
Right.
So it did try to, at the last minute, it really tried to get a little juicy, but even back to the west now, we got 20s in Amarillo. So as a super dry front came through, dry line coming through there pretty quickly now and beyond. 27 at Lubbock. Weird situation.
It was
altogether.
pretty insane. Yep, no doubt about it.
Well, all right. Not really sure exactly how long to hold on to our coverage here. I know you got coverage coming out of your vehicle there as well, so we'll don't know if we have an upswing in information here. We don't have any pictures really to The Lightning.
That almost pushed us in the median.
Oh, when?
Yeah, man, we're out ahead of this thing by a margin.
Yeah, let me see if I can find some of the. Okay, let's see when.
Yeah, he did a good job with that one because that one really did try to displace us.
Yeah, there's some. So on the MEDAR data, there's some 35 mile per hour gusts, 46 mile per hour gust ahead of you there, just ahead of you. Looks like New Cordell, Sayre, New Cordell, Elk City. We got a 25 gust of 37. All around you there, it's pretty gusty.
Yep.
It's a
Definitely seeing that.
as my good friend Eli Gold once said, it's a white knuckle situation. Did you know that Eli came up with that?
I did not.
Eli Gold.
I did not know that at all.
He did. Eli Gold coined the phrase white knuckle weekend.
Really?
Yep. Eli's getting better, by the way.
That's good to hear. He dealt with a bout of sickness there, and I know it's kept him from announcing any football games for the last season.
Yeah.
And I know they were hoping for him to be back, I think, this coming season. So
He is doing better. Before I left for Denver, I had dinner with Eli, and what a nice guy. He's always been a good friend of mine and a good friend of where we were working together there in Birmingham. But I'm so glad to see that he's doing much better at this point. Glad to hear that. Harmon County now in Greer County. New tornado warning there out of Norman. This is the first one out of Norman now. This is a tornado warning for Harmon and Greer counties. The National Weather Service has also some golf balls at Hill near Dodson. Moving on to the east, it's 75 miles per
there
hour.
it is.
Yep, that's the Magnum storm there.
That's going to be the one. That's going to be the one that's going toward Mangum, Oklahoma, right there.
Yeah, Mangum's
Yep.
on the
Okay.
outside of the polygon there.
Yeah, I think that's going to be. If we're going to go do anything or see anything tornadic, I think we're going to have to drop down 283 there and go toward Mangum. That's it's a tornado hotspot here too.
It is, isn't it? I mean, I know I've said that. I've heard it a lot. Mangum and Altus, by the way. I remember
Yep.
Altus is kind of in that area there too, US 62 that goes through the region there. But off and on, we got inbound, outbound there in a few places, but there's like a kink every 10 miles along that region there that shows up pretty well, and it's probably the most disturbed line across the whole thing. Even the further south you go, it is lined up a little bit better, but there are more disturbances or waves across that area just north of Dodson and all the way back up to the
Whoa.
north to 40 as
Well, I got some information for you now, Dave. All right, now this is confirmed. I guess this is from the Texas Mesonet. 114 mile per hour wind at Memphis, Texas, with that part of the line.
at Memphis. They don't have
That is that area where the tornado warning is in effect down there.
Yeah.
That's almost category 3. You're talking 2 miles an hour shy of a 3.
That would be.
Memphis is due west.
Yeah, but they don't have a MEDAR there.
The
So
tornado.
how did they get it? How did they?
Texas Mesonet.
Oh. Yeah, because the severe
wind-driven hail
thunderstorm.
is not.
Go ahead.
Wind-driven hail has knocked out windows also in the town of Memphis. Wind-driven golf ball size hail, and that was a report from the emergency manager.
So the severe thunderstorm warning there, it's a severe thunderstorm warning for Childress and Motley and Cottle and Hall counties. In the warning, it says, along the line extending from Quail to Memphis, hazard 100 mile per hour wind gusts and golf ball size hail. The source, the West Texas Mesonet at 637, had a gust of 114, measured by the West Texas Mesonet near Memphis.
Okay, a tornado watch is coming soon for central Oklahoma. So that is updated information as this continues to move. We're getting extreme inflow down near Dodson now. It's about to cross into Oklahoma. So we're going, let me go ahead and, because that could be a significant tornado starting to form down there. I'm going to go ahead and put our destination in for Mangum. It's only 29 miles from Mangum where we sit right now. Matter of fact, there's 283 and 1.5 miles. We're going to take south jog. This is going to be an extremely serious situation, though, with damage likely, whether you get a tornado or not. You got winds already that are confirmed of high-end EF2 status.
Yeah.
So almost a Category 3 type hurricane.
Yeah. So this is the meso discussion. Brett was just talking about the upstream tornado watch that would be issued. It goes all the way. You can see in that little hatched area, the little cloud they drew there. It's all of central Oklahoma, where the projected tornado watch 43 would be 43 is back to the west. This would be 44, which goes from the Red River basically all the way to the border of Kansas. And as far to the east, it looks like is, almost up to Tulsa. It looks like probably into that area, but the tornado watch is just being reissued downstream a little bit to be a continuation, and that was from the meso discussion a few moments ago. Plus, what Brad was also talking about was those 100-mile-per-hour winds that we were looking at. And again, I don't know how populated that area is, but 100-mile-per-hour winds had to cause damage, Brad, I would think.
I would absolutely think so. We're going to continue to hear stuff, I'm sure, because Memphis is actually an area with some populace.
Yeah.
That we'll probably hear, more about damage and other things. Let's see. I'm talking to right now, working to get some information from some of our weather sources here.
Childress just has sustained at 36, gusting to 55 in Childress. A minute ago at 53. And that's with the line coming through.
Whoa! I'm pretty certain I'm seeing power flashes off to the west of us right now.
Like over towards Sayre.
Well, that's where we're at. That's exactly where we are right now. Looking back toward the west, with the line, the incoming line, and the embedded supercell there. Let's see. Woo! I do believe we have a bad tornado on the ground just northeast of Dodson in Oklahoma now. That is a very bad looking signature. Let's see. Very hard to tell. There may be some weak CC in there, but it's going to be very hard to see any type of CC signatures out in this area. Again, just the populace is not there. There's a lot of flatter lands, but it's going to come into areas where we got more trees and potential for debris as it continues up toward the north and east. This is one thing we will know. At 7 o'clock, this is the area where the models had hit really, really hard on intense helicity streaks, which are, areas and thunderstorms where we look for rotating storms, not necessarily tornadoes, but where we're seeing this really intense velocity signature there south of Highway 9, northeast of the community of Dodson. It's going to go just north of Hollis. It's going to move north of US 62 there in Hollis, but it is coming in the direction of maybe Willow, Oklahoma, between Willow and Mangum, Oklahoma, on 283, which is exactly where we are. We're on 283 going south about 7 miles from the community of Willow right now.
There's those helicity streaks you were talking about. I don't know if you can see my...
Yep. Yeah, I see it. Let's see. That's a powerful little blow there, folks. Man, Dave, you might want to look at that radar picture now. Holy cow, that thing off of Frederick radar, that's just a full-blown supercell within that line. There it is. Yeah, look at the velocities on that thing, man. That is impressive.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at that now. Is there any?
If you were going to get a significant tornado within a line of storms, folks, this would be that type of storm. Latest information says it's moving to the northeast at 75 miles per hour.
Near the town of Sandy.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, this is and this is likely our shot, guys. Once we intercept this, I don't know that we're going to be able to get back on the interstate to intercept anything else. But this is the best looking tornadic signature that I've seen. Will likely be damage hunting after this. Just got a new damage report from Wheeler County, Texas. Shamrock power lines, power poles been brought down there in Shamrock.
So Brett is about 30 miles away from where that signature is, down to the south there. He's on 283 headed southward, so he's about 30 miles away, but it's coming to the east at 70. Brett's going to the south at 60 or so, so the two shall meet. You do the math, but it's going to be sooner than you think. This thing obviously is blowing out on the rear side of this. This is the rear flank downdraft of the storm. Which is blowing out, but curling around here near the town of Sandy that we were talking about a few moments ago. Quite a bit of lightning showing up there as well over the last few minutes, and not really sure. There might be some correlation there, but it's a little bit difficult to tell.
I see a possible debris signature there. Not only that, I see, man, that may be just occluding if the line, the forcing of the actual frontal boundary, the dry line is trying to haul east with this QLCS. That might be legit a tornado that's forming right there on that apex. And the tornado could get undercut, but there's going to be tornado-like winds that move with this system. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it almost like occludes right there.
Yep, the latest scan looks like it does. There's a reflectivity area that almost looks like a debris ball in there.
Yeah.
Right underneath the couplet too.
Yeah.
Not a ton of lightning to work with this thing. That's the one thing that I don't like about this scenario of going down this highway. Don't like that one bit.
There's like 180, 175 net gate to gate right there.
Net shear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah, have you lined it up with your ruler yet? See where the two of you intersect. Let's see.
I hadn't lined it up yet, but I'm about to. It's about to line me up, I'm afraid.
Toward Willow, I'd certainly I lived in Willow, I'd let somebody know.
Yep, I agree. Totally agree with you. This is a bad dude right here. That is a large cyclonic envelope of wind with that system.
Yeah, if you kind of follow it out, I mean, like somewhere around Willow there is where it ends up. If we continue, it's about 45 degrees to the northeast.
Yep.
Now, they did go ahead and just issue the tornado warning that includes Mangum over there, but I think that's going to be a little bit further. Mangum's a little bit further to the south. it'd have to move suddenly due east to hit Mangum, but you're going to be in those really strong winds there no matter what. And I'm like Brad. I think this is becoming a large tornado now with each and every scan that we see, and I do think there's debris there now in this that shows up in the correlation coefficient. Part of it's with that whole the rear flank. You can see that goes down to Hollis and all. That's got some debris up into the air too. Near Gould.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems within this. I mean, we've got to go. We got to go.
Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, just on reflectivity in its own right, that's a pretty wicked looking storm. It is the storm of the moment by far.
Yep.
Just to the south of Ensign, Highway 9. If you live there in between Madge and Reed,
Do what?
right now the town would be Reed. That would be moving into Bloomington,
Is this 4 lane?
northward to Willard. It's a U.S. highway. It should be 4 lane.
No. It's not. It just went double line on us. We got to get over. Got it. But we got to get down here. We're going to get hit. I mean, if we don't get moving and get through Willow, we're going to have a problem here in a second.
Yeah, I'd love for you to be on the south side of Willow.
Yeah, me too. And I'm trying to get there. I'd love to get. Let's see.
.283.
Yeah, I don't want no part of us being in the path of this one. Oof. I got a feeling that's a very large tornado there southwest of Willow now.
Yeah, I feel you. Radar indicated. What are they saying? Dangerous
Go ahead, if you can
tornado
get around
to
on that.
golf ball size hail.
Yes, it is. Straight. Yep.
Moving east at 7.
Yeah, I don't really want any part of this one.
So once again, if you're just now joining us, we're with Brad. He is here into the western side of Oklahoma, just across the border of Texas into western Oklahoma at the moment, following the southernmost tornado warning, which is down to the south here for the next 12 minutes. We've got a tornado warning in effect for Greer County and Harmon County, which includes this rotating storm right about there that we're looking at. I've been following this over the last 30 minutes or so, where it really looked like it was getting more and more organized, and has done so right there. Certainly, I believe we at least had a funnel right there. It looked like it had a debris ball associated with it. It's mellowed just a moment in the last scan, perhaps. Not as tightly wound up as it was a few moments ago, but nonetheless, still holding the signature, if you will, of a tornado here, both in reflectivity and also into the velocity data that you see. This thing is spinning, it's rotating, and you can check it out here. You can see the indentation, see the little V there? Well, that's just wrapping around. This is the dry slot coming into the storm. Right there is where I think we have a tornado, just along 9, about to move across the county and go northward here. A very formidable situation, and Brent Adair and Heath Lawler are right up here into this area, just to the north of the town of Willow, which is probably if you just draw a line here, this storm looks like it would be coming into Willow. Brett is efforting getting on 283 and going south of the storm. Always the safest place to be is to the southeast of a northeast moving storm. You want to be as far to the south and east as you can so you can view it from that direction, but also just staying away from the actual center of the rotation itself. Now, this thing is not going to go southward at all on the latitude. So right now, if you just look straight across, you can see past Mangum. You folks who live in the town of Mangum, you're going to see some high winds for sure, but the actual tornado is already north of you, and it's not going to turn around and come back in your direction at all. So we're kind of following it there. Brett, a lot of lightning there with, it looks like the rotation. Do you see the lightning outside your window? He disconnected, but we still see him driving. We'll effort speaking back to him here in just a few moments because he's going to be very close to this storm. This is a tornado right there on your screen. We're watching a tornado moving on to the east. Just structurally, let me show you what you're looking at here, and it's pretty easy to see that we do have a tornado. In the reflectivity, it shows just a tornado. This is it. This is where the spin is. Most of the spin is going to be right about there. So this is the likelihood of the tornado there. If we put in the velocity data, it matches up very well with the velocity data right there, saying there's an inbound and an outbound situation here, and a rotation that's going like this, spinning in a counterclockwise fashion. You put in something like a correlation coefficient, which would show you debris, and I still think that's the case as well. I think there is some sort of a debris signature aloft that is showing up here. Let me do this one more time. It's very difficult to see it at this point, but this is going to be your debris mass right in this area right there. So we do have everything associated with the tornado that looks like it's going to come into play here as we go northward. Of all the storms at the moment along the QLCS, this is the one that looks like and is being treated like it's going to be a large tornado that we believe we have right now. The National Weather Service has 9 more minutes on this tornado warning, 9 more minutes on the warning, moving east at 70 miles per hour, 4 miles south of the town of Ensign, and working its way toward Willow, as you can see it here. A little bit of little dryness trying to sneak in here every once in a while, but right there is still what I believe is the spin or the rotation that we are looking at. You can sort of see this whole mess going on here. This is the rear flank downdraft, the RFD of the storm. This is that right there. This is the forward flank downdraft, the FFD. And this is the blow off that you have, and then we've probably got some hail going on right about there in the whole situation. But this is what's blowing off of the storm, sort of like that. And then coming in behind it here, overall, we have the drier air, much drier air coming in behind the engine here. Still don't have Brett. Brett, love to have you back on here as this thing comes on by. 61, temperature 61 over 60 at the moment. I don't even see any video from him. But we will effort having what we have here. We have to work up our telephone situation here to get him when we lose him that way. But nonetheless, tornado warnings. We've got 3 of them that are still intact. The one to the north here, tornado warning for the next 22 minutes. That's going to be for Woodward, Custer, Rogers, and Ellis counties with some spin near Strong City. Tornado warning for the next 22 minutes. They're down to the south for 7 more minutes. Tornado warning for Harmon, Greer, and Beckham counties. That's near Texola, a northeastward moving storm at about 70 miles per hour, $half size hail being reported there. And the storm of the moment, the likely tornado that we've been watching, is down to the south here along Highway 9 as we look at it, where we have a possible tornado working its way northeastward, about 20 miles to the west of Mangum. It's not coming back toward Mangum, by the way. It is out in advance of everything. It's not coming back to Mangum. It is going to be right about there, if you will. And if it's that big, it's a large tornado now. It may just be that this is a spin or a rotation at the moment, but the velocity data tells us that I think we have a large tornado going on right here into this area, right about there near the town of Reed. I think is our apex, our point where this is a tornado right there. We have some spin as well. We could have 2 possible tornadoes, a satellite and then one that's working around the primary, the mother, if you will, the mother station, which would be right about there near Reed, but another satellite one is quite possible over there off to the east. So ugly sort of a storm here, and a dangerous situation. But again, Brett is down here. What did we talk about? We wanted him south of Willow, and he is south of Willow, and still headed in that general direction, and doing pretty well here. So kind of what we're looking at here at the moment, with everything going to the south and to the east. Brett Adair is out there, but right there I think is our tornado, and we probably have a couple of more trying to form into that whole mess. Now, near the town of Reed, 9 is what we're looking at, the reflectivity. We'll take a look at that as well. Look at all this lightning that's really started to pop up. Flare up of the last few minutes. A lot of lightning here that does continue. The National Weather Service still says we got a tornado warning here in effect. We knew this. This is going to be for Mangum and Hobart and up to Sentinel and Cordell, but moving through the town of Willow. This is now an observed tornado. 2-inch size hail is likely. An observation has now been placed on this near the town of Reed, is what we do understand, near the town of Reed. So we're going to stay here with you. Again, Brett and I have been following this for a while. Let's see if we can effort getting him back. Yeah, you might take his forward-facing camera. Let's just go to it here for just a moment. Full screen, because he did stop, didn't he? So let me tell you what you're seeing here. This is out of the front of Brett's camera here. We can't actually hear him, but we've got off and on constant lightning that is occurring, and into this area, the lightning is pretty much been constant ever since this thing really began back across the border there, just to the south of the town of Sandy and Ron. Coming into the Reed area from the south, you can see the frequent lightning as it goes off, but there's an embedded tornado there somewhere. It has been sighted a few moments ago. It had an observed tag that was added to it, meaning that someone, and probably law enforcement, we hope it was law enforcement, said they did see this a little bit earlier. But again, if you go back, let's just take a look at where Brett is at the moment. Go back to the radar full screen if you can. Let me show you. Brett Adair is right here just off to the north and east of the storm. And he's not that far away from the actual center of the rotation, which is right about there. Brett is about 4 or 5 miles off to the east, if you will, of the whole mess as it goes on by. Now, where is this thing exactly? It's kind of hard to tell, but right here is where we think we have a tornado. Going to be right about in that area there. Brett is off to the east of it. He's on the safe side of things, if you will. I just saw a vehicle go by with some headlights on it there. Maybe that was some sort of a emergency management. But an observed tag means that it has been sighted. Now, I can say that at any point, really, over the last 30 minutes, if it's looked worse, this is kind of it. It does not have the same kind of look, clear-cut look that it had a few moments ago, at least on reflectivity. I don't see the dry slot anymore. It's still rotating. The high-res velocity data still says that we have a rotation here, and if there's a tornado, it's going to be right about there, south of Bloomington, and working its way northward and eastward. We've had another few little spins here and there off to the south, but the actual tornado looks more likely to be right about there into that area and still moving northeastward. So kind of looking at that at the moment and riding everything off to the northeast at a pretty rapid pace, doing so there at a pretty rapid pace. So watching all of that over the last few moments and still looking like this is going to be the case as we move along through time. And that's what we got at the moment. Brett Adair is just off there, just to the west of Granite, south of Brickman, north of Mangum. And all this kind of headed northeastward just around him into this region. Up near the town of Willow is what we're talking about here for the next few moments. Willow, Carter, back up into the Dill City area. The tornado warning goes off to the east into Sentinel and Hobart. And that's where the possible tornado and likely tornado is going to be, just to the south, maybe a few miles south of Bloomington, but headed on to the north and northeast. Again, looking at Brett's camera there off on the upper right-hand side of the screen, that is his camera. We've got some hail associated with the situation there as it goes with at least 3/4 of an inch size hail. And now this is the tornado warning, quarter-sized hail into the observed category. Let's see. This is going to be another tornado warning, by the way, that's further to the north. This is an observed tornado, quarter-sized hail. Observed near Camargo, Letty, and Morewood. This is moving northeastward near the town of Sealing, headed northward and eastward just north of I-40. We'll get into that in just a couple of seconds. That goes until 7:45. A observed tornado there within the warning area. We'll look at that on the radar in just a few moments, but still watching Brett Adair there, who is live on the tornado down to the south. Tornado warning down here that we're looking at. I don't know. I think there could be, and I look, Brett's smart. He sees this as well, but I think there's a tornado here. But you got to watch this area. See all these lightning strikes that have occurred right here over the last few moments? Sometimes you get a secondary tornado that can form. I just read a study yesterday about 2 tornadoes that moved through South Georgia during that last event. Sometimes that can happen. I know Brett's watching this super closely, but that's a possibility. That is a possibility right there into that area. And I do hear what sounds like it could be hail coming by there as we speak. And we'll probably go to him at least half screen. I don't know if you can do that, but maybe half screen here in just a few moments so we can sort of watch him half and half and keep up to date with what is happening, because there are other thunderstorms of note here. I don't know, that might be a little debris ball trying to show up there as well. But get back into the secondary area. This is an observed tornado right here also. That's going to be right there near the town of Letty, I believe. Strong City, just northeast of Strong City. We had the likelihood of a tornado again right about there into that area. This was not, again, really projected to be a tornado, but it did start to show up, and it's now observed, and then it all goes along the rest of the line. But right there is Brett Adair, still watching his video up there. It is pretty dark, but that's where Brett is at the moment, and a continuation off to the north and east with the storm, and the likelihood of a tornado ends up being right about, come back to me. Yeah, right about there, I think, is our tornado. Not too far away from Brett. Basically only about 4 or 5 miles. If you look at it, the way the crow flies here, pretty close. And Brett knew that it was going to go by him if he stayed on that trajectory. Near the town of Willow is what we were thinking. Up near Willow is what we were expecting. So pretty much what we're looking at there into all that area. Penny's fine, by the way. Thank you for asking about Penny. Penny's going to be Penny's going to be on that big the dodo here in the next week, I think. Quite possibly Penny be coming up on the dodo. They reissued the tornado watch a little bit further to the east, as we talked about earlier. Here's what it looks like. But we knew this was coming, the new tornado watch that is in effect now, that goes all the way over to Siloam Springs in the Fort Smith, Arkansas area. Tornadoes, a few tornadoes are possible. Wind gusts up to 90, though, into the yellow area here that we're looking at. That's going to be Bartlesville, Ponca City, and all the way down to the south of Durant into the Red River area there. A little over 3.5 million people would be affected by the storm there in that general area. Yeah, look it up. It's a cool site, the dodo. It's for it's a web page for rescued animals. It's a pretty cool site. So Penny's going to be on there. Again, where we think we have a tornado, right about there, I think, into that area. Brett Adair is right there. He's rocking and rolling in his vehicle. He and Heath Lawler are watching this storm right now from the confines of his vehicle, from the inside of his vehicle, where things are moving pretty rapidly now off to the northeast at about 70 miles per hour. We understand we've got 70 mile per hour. Move it to the northeast. And up and down the line is pretty much what we're looking at as far as things go at the moment. It's been a rough 35, 40 minutes. Look at all this lightning that has occurred there into that time. It's been pretty constant. The lightning has in all of these regions here over the last 30 minutes. And still, there is plenty of lightning showing up across all of that area there, at least into the short amount of this is pretty much what we're talking about here overall. Hobart up to the north over to New Cordell, into that region there. Mangum. Also, this is our area here too. Now, all right, so we had lost. All right, Brett is, I don't know that wasn't a tornado right there. Maybe a spin right here. And the bulk of it was probably right in here, and I don't know what that is right there. A lot of stuff going on in this one image that we are looking at. Correlation coefficient might tell us a little bit. Well, you can see, isn't that funny? The correlation coefficient lines up with everything that I drew in the velocity data, which may, indeed still have some form or fashion of, let's see, there we go. A little bit different. So again, I'm still in the belief our tornado is going to be right here. I think that's our tornado number one at least, and we might again have something weird going on right here near Mangum. There's probably another, at least a funnel right there going on that shows up well with that, and then down to the south we got some other stuff going on here too. So we got to watch out for all of this stuff. That's where we are with our tornado warning at the moment. And there is Brett. We're looking at his vehicle. He's looking at another vehicle who has their lights on at the moment. I don't believe he is. Back this up just a little bit. Take a look at what we got. 2 observed tornado warnings now is what we have. 2 observed tornado warnings. One off to the north, another one right there along the area there. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Justin, yeah, do me a favor, bud. Just chill with your warnings and everything that you're giving. You've given a little bit of false information every once in a while. I don't want to kick you off, but just chill. And do appreciate you watching, but slow down with your warnings and your watches and stuff. And we're trying to keep these organized here, if you will. Michael, thank you for pointing that out. Yes, sir. Really. Storm Prediction Center. Here's our newest little mezzo discussion here, just now issued a few moments ago. I just showed it to you, but really just for that reason. Again, try to talk to Brett. He's moving now, but we haven't been able to actually speak to him again in a few moments. Trying to get everything going at the same time is a little bit difficult. In fact, I'm actually running a little bit late with some of my data here if I don't just keep clicking on it. But I believe our tornado is still moving off to the northeast. This might actually be it right up in here. This is the tornado right there. I think it's going to be just to the west and south of 9, just north of Mangum. Again, Brett is in that area, so dude knows what he's doing, and he's watching that closely. Look, he's even trying to drive a little bit further up toward it here, I think, Brett is, to see maybe if there was some damage, perhaps, when that thing went through. Now, I know we had what the signature looked like. It was going to be, maybe a tornado in 2 different spots there when it blew on through, but I don't think at this point. Let's see. And we saw a debris signature, so I'll be anxious to know from Brett when we do get him back on here in just a little bit. And this could again be our tornado right about there as we look at it. Certainly some really super high winds that are showing up with all of this stuff. Look, these are 80-mile-per-hour winds that keep coming back to the radar site. 78, 80-mile-per-hour winds along the line. There's an 80, and then we turn around with a 20 really quick, an 80 away, and a 20 really quick. There's a 90 and a 20. And I think these might be small little vortexes, little tornadoes that are trying to occur along this whole thing, and it's all happening so rapidly in an area where there's so much shear that's into the region, too, that eventually it gets, it kind of gets knocked around here and there. And a few things. Michael Beard tells me that there's a big grass fire just to the west of Amarillo. It has I-40 closed west of Amarillo because of the grass fire. They got some super high winds, and now the dew points are super low, so it's dry back there into Amarillo. I'm sure that's not helping the situation. I'll kind of look at that in just a few moments. And again, here's that little section down to the south. Brett and I were talking about how these things would flare up. This is near Luggert or Lone Wolf, just outside of Granite, where there's obviously something is rotating right there. Whether or not they're going to look at it and call that a tornado, I don't know. It still actually lies within the actual tornado warning from earlier. But nonetheless, there's a rotation there along the line that we're looking at that is just off and down to the south. So kind of watching out for that. Have been watching out for that for a little while as it all goes northward. Our other tornado warning off to the north here, this had an observed tag to it, and it still does. An observed tornado there that shows up. Damaging tornado, quarter-size hail. It's moving northeast at 70. This was confirmed near Angora. Moving northeast at about 70 miles an hour near Angora. A radar-confirmed tornado that we had on the ground there just a little while ago as far as it was concerned to the radar near Camargo, and now has made its way northeastward. The storm's up here into Kansas near Wichita now, coming in from the west, moving fast. By the way, in yellow, these are all winds and wind gusts. There's a 41-mile-per-hour gust. These are sustained winds, actually, but some of the gusts here that are associated with it, 46 there. Just down to the south, it looks like, of Hobart and Granite. We still have some. There's some sort of a spin going on there near Luggert that we were looking at a few moments ago. I still believe that is the case. If there's going to be another tornado warning, it might end up being somewhere right there into that area because it is a spinning, rotating sort of a situation that's ongoing. You can see it right there. It's screaming near the Quartz Mountain State Park. Screaming. Lake Altus, right in that area there. And correlation coefficient says maybe, maybe not. Upper level winds are such that this is just all over the place. I mean, this is all over the place when it comes to the upper level system here as it goes on by. Frederick radar says one thing, the other radars are saying something totally different. But tornado warning, Hobart, Oak Mountain, Lone Wolf. Babs, Cold Springs. Is that the one we were just talking about? I think that's the one we were just talking about a few moments ago. So that is the tornado warning that's in effect there. Now, just to the east of 283, Roosevelt over to Cooperton, excuse me, and down to the south. So that is the storm of the moment, if you will, the one that we've been looking at and following, which now has a tornado warning associated with it. Right about there, velocity data shows the same thing. There it is. I think this is going to be a brand new tornado warning that kind of goes like this. Let's see what happens. Maybe I guessed wrong. Nope. There it is. So that is a tornado. They did call this a tornado. All this stuff that was going on right there, they call that a tornado. And it's moving on to the east. That's within the line, within the area there that we were concerned about and looking at. And so that's all headed east. We're down doing pretty well. And pretty much what we're looking at is everything heads on in that general direction. So watching out for all that as we move along through time. Down to the south here, there's a severe thunderstorm warning that goes and covers the rest of the area there. I-40, 23 and the rest of the region for the next 33 minutes. You know why? 80-mile-per-hour winds is why. Comanche, Washita. Cato, Rogers, Custer, Kiowa, Blaine, Dewey, Greer, Canadian, Jackson, Tillman, all under a severe thunderstorm warning that says 80-mile-per-hour winds or greater could be falling in your region before this is all over with and does its little deal off to the northeast. Down to the south into Sweetwater, we still have more there near Snyder, the rest of that area too outside of there in particular, but that's all going to be linear going down to the south and maybe a tornado warning or two. But right here to the north is what we're looking at. We haven't been able to speak to Brett just yet, but I think we did. He had a tornado go by pretty close to him a few moments ago. He has stopped in Willow, which is where we talked about. What did we talk about? When that thing was way back down to the southwest, we sort of talked about Willow and what was going to possibly happen there. And now he's there in Willow and sort of watching what's going on. Let's see. Willow. He has pulled over on the side of the road. Send him a text message and see. Is the ground, is that hail? Jarvis, can you hear me? Is that hail on the ground? Looks a little white. on his camera, or is that just wet grass? It's wet grass. That's what we got in the big picture here overall. There's also another spin down here near Altus that is concerning to us, and been watching out that also as we move through. And again, Brett's back there near Willow, and I don't know, he's pulled over on the side of the road, but a couple of people are at the moment. Let's see if I can get to some questions here. Aaron, CC, Lizzie. He's helping somebody who's in the ditch. He probably is, because that's what he does. And he mentioned that hail was covering the ground. Probably so. Just not chastising you, bud, but we got to be careful about people issuing their own stuff. Is all I'm saying. I got something in my ear, and somebody said you were issuing your own warnings, and got to kind of let me do that. That's what I'm here on the TV for, to issue those warnings and to make sure that we're we're on the same page, buddy. So no harm, no foul. Don't worry about it. Afraid the other day when parking under a big eucalyptus tree in 38 knot winds. Happy Quails. Love that name. Perfect name. Happy Quails. Brett Adair. Yeah, still got some spin. You see some spinny stuff. It's still up here, right here on the line again, near Lone Wolf. And if I was going to be worried about something, it'd probably be that area right there, but not one particular place, because it all looks junky as it can be. But I'd watch out for all of that right there going on through. If I lived here, by the way, or my family lived here, anywhere near here, I'd tell them, I'd say, y'all got to be watching closely near Anadarko, over to Chickasha here on 44, coming across 44 shortly, but that'll be coming into Oklahoma City here from the west. But right here along the line these are going to be 70, 80 mile per hour winds. I'm going to say 70 plus, very likely going on here across this area. And just got to be watching out for the whole of that. They did issue a new severe thunderstorm watch for southern Kansas. They, instead of including this into a tornado watch, they just took Wichita down to Medicine Lodge and off to the east and made this into a severe thunderstorm watch, which is probably very smart, because this is all going to come in from the west out of Dodge City and eventually fill in with a more than likely a high wind sort of a situation, not a tornado situation. I know we had a couple of tornado warnings off and on since that happened. This is flipped over now to more of a linear situation of straight line winds and strong thunderstorms that way instead of tornadoes. This is really the only point where it looks like we have anything that might be reminiscent of a tornado. And now I still think we have one. And now I still think we have one coming into the town of Hobart from the western side. This is a likely tornado again. And this is all really just developing here over the last few minutes. We saw this out of the two storms, maybe cell merger taking place. I'd be really, really concerned here at the moment, though, right there just to the south and west of Hobart. And it's when two overlapping tornado warnings, by the way. Here's the one tornado warning and another. It's kind of, I guess, up into this one. Both say radar indicated. But this is a tornado headed toward the town of Hobart near Lone Wolf. I'd be very concerned here at the moment. At the airport there, we have 31 mile per hour winds gusting to 46 miles per hour and 62 degrees. There at the airport, just to the south and east of the town of Hobart. It's the Hobart Airport there, though. And Lone Wolf, and the likelihood of a tornado, I think somewhere in this glob, this mess, is a possible tornado right there, moving off to the northeast at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. Keep that in mind if you are out and about over the next few moments. 183, it's been a place we've been talking about for a while. 183 that we've been looking at for a while, and that's definitely what we'd be talking about there as things move on and do so pretty rapidly now at about 70 miles per hour. So kind of watching out for all that. Somebody had mentioned Granite. There's nothing going on at Granite. This is actually everything is past. This is the back edge of the line. Let me draw this a little bit better here. This is the back edge of anything that could go rotten. Granite is way over here at the beginning. So you're probably not even seeing precipitation here. You're more than likely just seeing a little bit of light drizzle. But this is where anything here and off in this direction is where it could happen. Not so much here. So that's what we, yeah, see, there's no rain over there near Granite. No precipitation at all. And you can just kind of see this. This is what we call a bookend low pressure center. Let me just kind of draw it. This, you know, this could be a cold front down here. This could be a warm front hanging out like this. And this could be like, in general, you could call this a low pressure center right here. And you notice there are curvatures around this. When you start thinking about low pressure, you think about the tropical season and stuff. And you can see what we're looking at, kind of like that up and down the line. And that's pretty much what it is. What you see is what you get there in that region. Which is 2 tornado warnings embedded within one severe thunderstorm warning that goes long, north-south across the region into another severe thunderstorm warning. This is 5 minutes of rain down to the south here, though, on 82 that'll be coming in. That won't last very long at all. Vernon, Chillicothe, this is 5 minutes of rain that'll be coming into you very quickly and then moving on by, and it's just not going to last for any particular length of time as it rushes on by. Same up here, but I think if we do have a tornado warning, or we do have a tornado within this line, it's going to be somewhere within that just crappy area right there. It just doesn't look very good at all. Southward here you go, and that might be, let me back it up. Now this right here is, I'd need to see another scan, but that might be some debris aloft right there. This is the correlation coefficient, which would tell us if we have debris, and that might be debris aloft right there. We'd have to look at that with another scan that comes in just a few moments and see if that might be the case. Nonetheless, these are going to be super high winds that will be coming in. In fact, I took those off. Let me add winds again into the storm reports. We'll add our wind damage and wind recorded and put that in. Let's see what we got. There's some 70-mile-per-hour winds down to the south here. We had a 75-mile-per-hour wind in Harmon County near the town of Gould. Mangum there, we did end up with a 62-mile-per-hour wind in Mangum at the Mesonet site there in Mangum. We got a 46 here at the moment. Tornado for Hobart. So this is observed now, this tornado that we were looking at a few moments ago on the radar. This is now an observed tornado. I think it's up here near Hobart, actually. Let's see what we can make out of this. This is an observed tornado just south of Cambridge. Right here. An observed tornado. Did you see how it matched up with the velocity data? There's your inbound and your outbound, your velocity marker that we're looking at. There it is, and then here's your velocity data, and then this is going to be your correlation coefficient, and that's debris right there. That is something that is aloft, that is an anomaly to the radar. That means that all this is going to be rainfall. See how this is all sort of the same color. Everything around it is somewhat the same color. It doesn't really change color. And then you got this junk right here in the middle. This is an anomaly, what we call an anomaly, or in this case, that is going to be something that is aloft, something into the atmosphere that's already been blown up into the atmosphere that the radar is depicting, the radar is seeing, and sending it back as part of that product there. And it all falls within the area, too, where we think we had a tornado to begin with, just to the west of the town of Hobart. I think Brad is on his way he probably has seen that as well. Where is he? He's right here south of Carter. Going north or south? We're following this little dot here, which is Brett. We'll do that while we read about our little mezzo here too. A corridor of enhanced damaging wind potential will extend eastward into the central Oklahoma area over the next couple of hours. And, you know, this sort of drew what we were looking at here. This is our tornado that we were watching there just a few moments ago with Brett, but they sort of drew this little area out ahead of it where they think there's going to be somewhat of an upswing, if you will, of what's been happening. There's Brett on 34. He's on County Road 34 going north-south, and I'm not sure which direction he's headed in at the moment. Come on, catch up with him. I'd like to know which direction he's going in. If he's coming south, he's going to end up near the tornado warning again, which he might be because he, you know, he's still in damage mode, reporting damage should there be such a thing. But I believe a tornado is going to be right up here near the town of Hobart. If I lived here, knew anybody who lived here, I'd be certain to take cover immediately. Maybe a little bit west of Hobart now. I think that right there might be the actual tornado near the town of Cambridge. And headed on eastward, if you will. Let me see if I put the correlation in there again, if we have the same sort of a thing. And you can see it did move a little bit. I'll go back in time. See the blob move? Actually, right there is when there was damage. So look here with me, if you will. So look, right there is the first time that we saw damage in that image. This is the first time that we saw any damage. And so if I go forward, yeah, I was just looking this up. Go forward a little bit. We go to there. Now that damage is here. And I move forward in time one more time, and now that damage is here, and it's much broader, which means whatever it is has now somewhat exploded. So this is an observed tornado now. This is a tornado that is observed. It's been on the ground, and it's a confirmation. What we just got was confirmation of a tornado. And knowing that, now the National Weather Service office is going to, you know, make sure that they keep you up to date on what's happening here with each and every mile. This is now north and east of Hobart. It's near 183. It's going to be crossing over 183 in the next few moments. And in general, head off to the northeast. But there's your confirmed tornado. This is it right here. All the confirmation that goes with it is going to be in this blue area here that we're looking at. I'm sorry, let me go with screen left here if I can. And that's what you got. High res base velocity. You know what? The other thing is, I don't think, let's see, 554. That was 3 minutes ago. It looks like this thing's moving slow. Let's go back in time a little bit. I don't think this thing's moving very fast at all. And if anything, it jogged a little bit to the north. This is a slow-moving tornado here, I think. Weather Service out of Norman, Kiowa, and Greer County. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. That's not true. This is a tornado. Radar confirmed tornado. Damaging tornado, $50 size hail. Okay. That's what you got. This is it. Observed tornado right there. For the next 18 minutes. I don't think we got anything down to the south here, by the way, anymore. I don't think this is the secondary tornado warning. I'm not really worried about that at all. I don't see anything down there that's rotating. But the one thing I do that is concerning is this right here, because it does have a it does have some debris aloft that we're watching. And we just moved a scan ahead, and I still see it there near, not like I did, but there's still evidence of it right there near Comality. Comalty. I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering your town's name, and I apologize for that. Right about there, I think there's still some evidence. And right about here, too, there's some spin or some rotation going on, maybe. But I think most of it's going to be right in that area right there. Right there, if you will. Comalty. So we got some spinning, some rotating going on right there, near that part of town. And then down to the south here, the correlation coefficient. Is it filled in? Maybe not what it was a few moments ago again. Because now this says everything's kind of blown around up in here, up, right in here. That doesn't really correlate to anything. 80-mile-per-hour winds are still possible and along this line. I've seen that going off and on there for a while, and all that heads on to the east. But you can definitely see, watch this as I put this into motion, definitely see where there was debris aloft. And those last two images there is where there was debris aloft. You know what's also going on here is that, all right, so down at the surface we have a really strong westerly wind. Let's see what we can find out here. METAR data. The wind is out of the south. Guarantee is the vectors are going to be from the south here. See our little arrows down here? This is where the wind direction is from the southwest. So if you look at this, whatever the tornado hit down at the ground, whatever the tornado came along and swiped down at the ground, now we know it was affected by a southerly wind after that fact, so now you can see where it was blowing. Now it's kind of blowing off to the north. The stuff that's out there is blowing a little bit more to the north. We just had a 54-mile-per-hour gust, by the way, with that when it went on by. 33 gusting to 54 out of the south. And that was at the Hobart Airport. And now we have this debris aloft, and you can see it sort of turned off to the north like this because we have this southerly wind that's coming in down here at the surface. So as long as it's, kind of down there at the surface, that's where all this is. And you don't really know. What is that going to be? Could it be a bunch of treetops? Yeah, it could be. Could it be a pile of leaves? Probably not, because it's a couple of miles wide at this point. It's not really small enough. I mean, we're looking distance across is 4 miles across. It could be about anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be a home or any kind of structure really at that point. There's a lot we don't know about CC, by the way, especially when it comes to the proximity of the CC to the actual radar site that we're looking at. So, it's just kind of sort of that deal at the moment here of where we are. What did Brett do? He went from Sayre Hawker. He's going to try to go. No, he's going up to 40. All right, so we have 2 tornado warnings along the line here in the western sections of Oklahoma. It's 2 tornado warnings there. Some of the winds that we've been looking at have been quite strong. Hobart, actually, we're looking at that because we do have a strong wind there, 50 miles per hour already. This is a gust of 54 that took place just moments ago. 54, we had 62 miles per hour at the Mesonet just back to the west of there. We've seen some of our high winds getting well up into the 50s and 60s here over the last couple of hours, and still are up here near the town of Clinton. It looks like we've got 36 miles per hour. 63 is the actual temperature, and some gusty winds. And this right here remains our CC drop, which means that the radar saw this, and now it has moved on to the northeast. This is still some debris that is aloft. This is something that's still aloft. I don't think we still have a tornado on the ground. I think we still have debris that is on the ground at the moment because I don't see anything there that looks like it's rotating as a tornado. The only thing possible at all would still be right about there, and that is our old spin that we were looking at, really. That's where it all originated from, and if there was going to be something that happened quickly, it's going to be right here. Because that's our old spin, our old rotation that was occurring a little while ago. Still in this area here. moving generally like that, if you will. But right now, I don't see anything that looks super tornado-y. Down to the south here, we still have a tornado warning. I think they'll probably let that expire here. 26 minutes, they may let that expire because I no longer see that. That was near Lone Wolf, which is no longer in play. Two very weak signatures here at the moment, so we could actually see them let the tornado warnings go. What is that going to be? 30 miles per hour. We got some really high gusty winds, even outside of the parameters of the front as it goes on by. We got some high winds that are associated with this whole thing. Westerly winds here coming in 28 miles per hour. Dew points are super low. I understand we had a fire. Hold on. He might do that. See here. Our tornado warning that we still have here is near Cooperton, Mountain View. Why not just say Mountain View? Over to Alden into the Mountain View area there near the area of Mountain View and Gotebo. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't even try, but I hate not trying. I apologize if I just blew that terribly there. New Cordell. Pretty linear, folks. All this looks really linear, all the way down into Frederick. The Frederick radar is linear. This is all linear. I don't see nothing going on up here near Sedan. Gotebo, I don't know what that little cluster is right there. That looks a little bit weird to me at the moment, right about here near New Cordell. Come on, Dave. Right there. That's sort of an outlier. But I don't see anything that looks like we're going tornado again in any of these areas. Now, it may just be a reflection of straight line wind gusts that are really going to concern everybody for the rest of the night tonight. Could we have more tornado warnings? Sure, we could. It's quite possible. But I don't think we'd end up having a lot. Here on the south side, the only thing I got going in any different direction is right about there near Cooperton. Little inbound and outbound associated with it. You can see it right there in that square box is a little inbound and an outbound. Michael says that the tornado debris is a roofing and insulation warehouse that was on Highway 9. And okay, that's kind of what they look like. I mean, you never really know what the material is that's up there into the atmosphere. You don't. I mean, I've studied it a lot. I mean, a lot. I've seen correlation coefficients for many years, and I've tried to study them. Brett gets to see the evidence of what is a correlation coefficient 1 minute, and then see the actual damage the next. So I always like talking to Brett after the fact. I've been on the air for 40-something years. I've been doing correlation coefficients for half that time because we never used to have them before. Actually, when I first started, we used 3 colors, actually, is all we had. We didn't have any velocity data at all. When you saw a tornado, you only used a hook echo to call a tornado, or you had somebody call you and tell you that there was one on the ground when I started many years ago. Well, now with all the products that we have, I like looking at them, but they can, again, you can sort of get drowned in everything and not really pay attention to what's right there in front of your face. It's 7:53, so this was, 10 minutes ago? A little over 10 minutes ago. 15 minutes ago, the ASOS station there in Clinton, Oklahoma had 70 miles per hour. And I think that's our story now for the rest of this. For the remainder of this evening, south of Hobart, we had a 70 mile per hour wind. I think all of these are going to produce 70-mile-per-hour winds. And the big deal here, the big story is going to be whether or not you can sustain 70-mile-per-hour winds or not. And this is definitely going to be in that 70-plus region here, coming on to the east. Anadarko over to Chickasha shortly. It'll be moving into Chickasha as 70-mile-per-hour winds or greater. And actually, the whole entire line will be producing that sort of a situation, 70-mile-per-hour winds up and down the line, as everything comes in and moves northeastward. Brett's on I-40 at the moment, headed over to Elk City. He's trying to cut this off from well in advance. I think he's going to try to outrun it here, which on I-40 you can do that pretty well if you hightail it off to the east. He's going to be able to make a pretty good time, I think, going eastward. I don't even want to look at what his anemometer says, but I'm sure he's booking it there in that area. I think he turned it off, actually. But that's kind of what you got is a linear sort of a situation here up and down the line at the moment. The velocity data, again, what you're seeing there is really not much going on any longer. New Cordell, rest of the area there over Mountain View into Carnegie and down to the south. There's a little bit of an area of spin right about there that my eyeball keeps coming to, but it's not a lot. It's a little, not a lot. Now everything is about to be out of both of these polygons. They're going to let these tornado warnings go here shortly. I don't know. That one's got 5 more minutes on it, and they're not going to reissue that. They're not going to reissue this either. There's no reason to do so. I don't see anything there at all that would call for a reissuing of a tornado warning. And I guess the most interesting thing to show you is that there is still some debris there aloft from the tornado that would touch down there a while ago. There's still debris that shows up there. I don't know how high it was to begin with, but it is still aloft in this scan at 737. Let's see, 807. So 737, 807.37, 3 minutes ago. And see where it is now? I drew a circle and you see it's already moved. And if I back it up here in time, look at it move along. This is a loft. This is what is aloft that is still there. So if it's roofing, I mean, I guess it could be insulation. It's probably something like that. It's probably going to be something that, well, he said insulation, didn't he? Insulation doesn't come back. I mean, it have to be, trying to think what's on the back side of insulation. Because I don't think the radar would be, well, I guess if it was wet, it would. That's a great question. That is a super, super duper question, because look how wide it is now. Now you got this whole thing that's there. It's a couple of miles wide. If you measure it from there to there, it's what, 9 miles wide. If you hit an insulation, a place that sells insulation, then it's probably going to be wet insulation that looks like a huge raindrop or some sort of an ice particle to the radar itself. Reflectivity. See, the reflectivity doesn't show anything, just the correlation coefficient. How wild is that? So this thinks that the anomaly, something that is not like the rest, is what we're looking at. This is all rain. We know it because it's all the same. All of this is the same. This is what is different. So this is the debris, the debris, if you will, right there is debris. Radar knows that. I don't know, has it got some sort of aluminum foil backing? Has it got something? I don't know. That's wild. Fiberglass coming back to the radar site. I don't know, let's do a study. Let's figure it out. It's still aloft is the crazy part about it. Whenever the tornado hit, and now it is still aloft. It has yet to come down to the surface. And we're looking at it on the radar from where are we looking at it from? Not too far away, Frederick. So it's still up there. I can show you how high the beam is. thought I could. Have to shut the METAR off. They did go ahead and let that tornado warning expire, and I'm sure they will the next one too, because there's no reason to hold it. You just got no reason to hold it. Well, I forgot how to use that product. Well, all right. I'm gonna tell you what. We got one tornado warning left, and I believe Brett is still out there available. Look at that. There's your debris signature, still around that New Cordell area there from a little bit earlier. And then we got the thunderstorms that are headed in and around Oklahoma City later on this evening. Here comes the line in from the west. Still some pretty strong thunderstorms here, and some of the wind speeds that are going to reach well over 80 miles per hour are coming in from the west. They'll be moving on eastward. There's a set of severe thunderstorm warnings here, and you can see that they all claim 80 mile per hour winds is the reason for this. Coming in, 75 have been observed with this line already, and golf ball size hail has been seen, but 80 mile per hour winds are possible coming in along the line as it moves into Oklahoma City. It was all being projected to come into this area about 10 o'clock tonight. Now we're looking at it not too far away, moving into Clinton here at the moment, and I think we might even have a little bit of an early arrival into that area. Let's go very quickly here, look at the convective outlook in the HRRR and see what we got as far as time of arrival here at the moment. And let's see. Yeah, coming into West Oklahoma a little bit after 9 o'clock into West Oklahoma, it looks like. So it has moved a little bit faster than first of all thought, and then headed on to the east and out. Let's talk about one other thing really, really quickly here, if we can. And I know we can because we're going to. So this was our risk here for the moment. And let's just talk about what happens into next week. We can go down to the south here and take a look. As we go through next week, by Thursday, we get our next real system to come in here to produce a possible a situation where we're going to have more storms, strong storms, and maybe tornadoes here. This is already 30% chance coming up on the 2nd, March the 2nd, which I thought it was going to end up being a snow event for the south. A couple of days ago, it looked like it was going to travel far enough down to the south to actually be a snow event, but no longer is that the case. And then that heads on to the east over time. This is Tuesday. There's a little marginal risk down here on the bottom side of the screen. This is a general thunderstorm list, excuse me. But then that other system moves on to the east and southeast. We're going to go to the NWS regions here and take a look at it. So next week again, this is worrisome. This is when we get back into it on March the 2nd. You can see 30% chance it goes from Shreveport over to Jackson up to Birmingham, Alabama, and then heads on to the east. Day afterwards, still got a slight risk that runs from Birmingham eastward over to Atlanta up to Charlotte into the northeastern United States on the 3rd, on Friday the 3rd. So we're getting into that phase now to where we're going to keep these chances that'll be coming up as we move through time. This is again the Tuesday, day after tomorrow. We got that right along the Gulf Coast. Looks like it's going to be general thunderstorms basically there. So tell you what, for now, we're going to wrap it up. I appreciate everybody being with us here. Thank you so much for being kind and generous and nice to everyone. I appreciate everybody being that way about it. And Brett is fine. I just talked to him a few moments ago. He's still out and about, but we'll effort speaking to him. He'll have some video on his site on LSM in just a few moments. He'll have some video for you to view there. And I want to also thank our man BJ, who's on the other end of the working tonight. Did you notice I wasn't directing? You notice that? I wasn't directing. B was, and thank you so much. I appreciate all of his help as well as I always do. And he's the king of OBS, OSB. What is it? OBS. But anyway, we appreciate you being with us, and thank you again for LSM. I'm meteorologist David Neal. Don't forget, Penny's going to have her story's going to be out and about on Penny the Chicken, my chicken. She's going to be on the Dodo here this week. I don't know exactly what day. I think it could be Wednesday, but it's going to be a pretty big deal, actually, believe it or not. Love you all. Hope you have a good night.